Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
We will get to the Celtics collapse in just a moment, but still so much to unpack from George Pickens going to the Dallas Cowboys. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Bro, I don't understand why people are dumping on this from the Dallas point of view. Like, I get it. George Pickens not a perfect person. Diva wide receiver. Maybe even more than that. More than we're used to, right? Has shown frustration, immaturity. His old coach called him out on it. I understand all that. But the Cowboys have to take some kind of a risk. And I don't think that George Pickens is so bad that he's going to destroy your building, destroy your culture, whatever that is. He's not going to turn Dak Prescott now into a bad leader, or, you know, Micah Parsons is going to forget how to rush the passer. Like, what do people think is going to happen with George Pickens in the building?
Okay. I've heard a lot of this from Cowboys Nation over the past day, that Dak's a strong leader who is going to make sure that Pickens fits in. Based on what? Where has Dak been a strong? What? Show me the evidence of that. A strong leader. I like Dak personally. He met him a couple times in person. Seems very nice. But a strong leader helps his team in the playoffs. And Dak has never been able to keep the Cowboys sort of engaged in the most key moments. So I don't know why he would be the leader to help George Pickens when there was no – I know he didn't have a quarterback in Pittsburgh, but he had Mike Tomlin. So I disagree a little bit, too. I think there are a lot of Cowboys fans who are treating it like they just won the Super Bowl. There's a lot of excitement in Dallas. And that's the thing. With all these offseason moves throughout the history of the NFL – You said, why not take a risk here? Then in October, we learned, that's why you don't take a risk. That's why this guy's available for a third-round pick despite having all the talent in the world. We know the talent. The fact that the Cowboys were trying to get him for a fourth-round pick and then had to move it up to a third-round pick, I just kept saying to myself yesterday, like, why was this guy available? And I think we're going to find out in October why he was available, because I think this is setting up for a very toxic stew in the Cowboys locker room.
Okay, I'm sorry, though. I can't go all the way down this road of George Pickens is going to all of a sudden bring the Cowboys organization to their knees. You know, you want to point out things that are wrong with the Cowboys. Well, start with the tippity top. Start with Jerry. And,
They're already on their knees.
Well, here's the thing. These are the type of moves that you take swings because, A, you feel like you can absorb a guy like this into your locker room,
you can't.
right? Well, who knows? I mean,
I know.
We'll see.
We won't.
Okay. Well, all right. You're down on it. I saw someone say this. I thought it was really smart. It's something your Philadelphia Eagles would do. Yes. You know, and people were questioning Jalen Hurts and his leadership ability up until, I don't know, the moment that he was up by double digits against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. People were A.J. Brown's reading books on the sideline, inner peace or whatever it is. You know, here's the thing. They are buying low on a guy. And you know what? If it doesn't work, well, there was no other wide receiver too that was coming to help the Cowboys anyway. So either he steps into that role and you get something great out of him, or you let him go after the season. Like, I don't think George Pickens is walking into Dallas and holding out for a new contract. Right. That'd be certifiably insane. So I don't think he's going to, and I know he's a little bit of a wild card. I don't think he's doing that.
Then why do you think he was available for so cheap? Because we know about the talent.
Okay, here's the thing about that. I think that the Steelers had come to the end, right? There's a report now that Mike Tomlin was the one who wanted him out of the building. We talked to Andrew Filipponi from Pittsburgh yesterday, hosts a midday show on the Fan there. He said he thinks Aaron Rodgers had something to do with it. There's such a thing as a change of scenery guy. There's such a thing as being able to use the carrot of a contract year and being able to mature. That gives people new perspective on things. So,
I'd not ask you to do a research project. Yeah. Does that work? No, it doesn't work. That's called a change of scenery fantasy, a geography switch. I'm thinking of, for example, the Steelers Chase Claypool trade. Like, they knew that he was not a good dude.
Sure.
And they traded in the Bears for a second-round pick. The Steelers know. That's why I think more likely than not, everything you say makes sense, but more likely than not, that low football character comes to haunt the new team.
Okay, here's my question from the Steelers side of this, and you're welcome to weigh in at 888-710-4ISN because I'd love to hear from Cowboy fans. you have to be thinking we're taking crazy pills. You want to, criticize Jerry Jones. There's a million reasons to do it. Not for this move. Because here's my question to you, Pearl. Simple yes, no. Do you think George Pickens is the reason why the Steelers have not won a playoff game in nearly a decade?
No, of course not.
Okay. So how big of a problem really was the guy? He was part of a more and bigger issues that exist within the Pittsburgh Steelers. Was he a problem? Sure. The biggest one? I don't think so. You talk about their offense and how stagnant, boring, in a lack of creativity, lack of innovation. He was frustrated with it, and he showed it in a really immature way. I'll grant you that. I'm not caping for George Pickens on that stuff. Yeah. But here's the deal. The deal is he was not the only thing that was keeping the Steelers from reaching their potential offensively. So if Mike Tomlin wants to get rid of George Pickens, that's fine. But look yourself in the mirror about why your offense stinks. Well, at the same time.
All that does not make anything for the Cowboys. Your math doesn't work up. Just because George Pickens wasn't the reason the Steelers didn't get anywhere in the playoffs doesn't mean that he is the reason the Cowboys are going to get somewhere in the playoffs. I think you're setting up a season that's going to be very difficult. First of all, you haven't paid Micah Parsons yet. Yeah. You also have Deron Bland and I believe I think Tyler Smith needs to get paid. And then Pickens says he's going to be okay with his contract, but it's going to be halfway through the season and he's going to have 2 catches a game. And you think he's not going to start to worry about his targets, knowing that his contract is up? So you're going to have CeeDee Lamb, who's temperamental. We already know that. We've seen him just fade when things get tough. We have Dak, who's not a very vocal leader. And then we have George Pickens, who I firmly believe will not be okay with his contract, despite reports saying he will be. I think he's going to get upset. He's going to be like, why aren't you throwing me the ball? If they don't throw him the ball.
Right.
And also, I know you had George Pickens presumably helps your whole offense. You don't have a great run game. You don't really have a great coach. And your defense has a bunch of injured guys, and you have a ridiculously hard schedule, and now what has become a very good division. I think you're setting up for a Bronx Zoo-like atmosphere in Dallas where everything is going wrong and everybody starts turning on each other, and the locker room is complete chaos by the end of the year.
Wow. I mean, that is a dark assessment of what's going on with the Cowboys.
Did you see the Packers playoff game?
I did, Pearl.
Did you see last season?
Okay. But
it's not a dark assessment. It's kind of where they look like they are right now.
Okay. Well, first of all, the issues last season were, again, another Dak Prescott injury, which if you really try to paint the
They were 3-5 when he got hurt.
Oh, I know. They couldn't stop the run. The loss to the Saints. I get it.
That was not the issue. Was not the Dak. They were not going to win with Dak. Do you think they were making the playoffs with Dak Prescott?
Probably not playoffs because last year went really bad because Micah Parsons was injured for was injured for a lot of the first half of the season. I'm not taking them off the hook. I think they had a lame duck coach in McCarthy. That's Jerry's fault. They should have gotten rid of him after the Green Bay debacle. And they went into that season and it felt like there was still a hangover over the team and add in the injuries. But you are painting a picture as if everything that can go wrong will go wrong. And I'm looking at it a little bit rosier in the sense that you're saying CeeDee Lamb is this kind of like malcontent. I think as a wide receiver goes, yeah, again, the Green Bay game, it was bad body language, all that. He's a phenomenal talent. There's a reason why he is one of the highest paid wide receivers. So I'm going to go with the assessment that he's going to continue to excel. They have added meaningfully on the offensive line. They're going to do a running back committee. I mean, I like Jaden Blue. I don't know about you from Texas. And okay, fine. You want to laugh at that. They're going to do a running back by committee. You have Schottenheimer who wants to run the ball.
Thank God they didn't pay Derrick Henry because they got Jaden Blue now.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry. Was Derrick Henry hosting a Lombardi and I forgot? Listen,
yeah, I mean, if Mark Andrews could catch a ball.
The Ravens were good anyway, and he helped.
Okay.
And he helped. And that's fine. And they were ready to win. And the Ravens are a much better team than the Cowboys are. So, I think even Henry has admitted, and other people have said, if he was with the Cowboys last year, he's not having the type of season that he had with the Ravens. So it would have looked a lot different and a lot more frustrating. But here's the other part. You're assuming that George Pickens is going to have 2 targets in these games. Why are you assuming that? It's going to him being on the field opens things up for everybody. Why,
You just said opens things up for everybody. Yes, meaning they're not throwing to him.
Why not?
Sounds like a high-end distraction. Because there's only so many targets. If they do want to...
You act like they have all these weapons and mouths to feed.
Well,
it's CeeDee and him.
CeeDee gets a ton of targets.
Jake Ferguson is going to start demanding targets?
Jake Ferguson is great. He gets a ton of targets.
But he's not going to start being a malcontent.
Well, here's the thing. You are going to feed Rookie of the Year Jaden Blue. Actually, I do like Jaden Blue. I was kind of playing devil's advocate. He's kind of awesome.
He just got hurt.
He just feels like that's going to be a good pick. But here's the thing. Brian Schottenheimer really wants to establish a run. They've drafted heavily to build a run game. You know, they took a guard in the first round. So they want to run the ball. I do worry. I genuinely worry that there aren't going to be enough targets. CD needs a ton of targets.
Right.
And then Pickens is this deep route guy. He's not going to get a lot of intermediate targets. He's just not going to have a lot of catches. He was in Pittsburgh, by the way. An offense, even if they were down, they always produce high numbers for wide receivers. Everybody gets tons and tons of catches.
With what quarterback lately, Pearl?
It actually doesn't even matter. Like Deontay Johnson was getting 100 catches with the corpse of Ben Roethlisberger at the end. I'm just telling you, Ben
Roethlisberger, better than Kenny Pickett, better than anyone else we saw in the last.
It is unusual how unproductive George Pickens was. He's not great at everything a receiver. So he seems like he's really good at one-on-one. He can go downfield, but I just wonder about his sort of whole game as a receiver because the production really wasn't there for his talent.
I know, and that's why
even Russell Wilson can throw a deep ball. Trust me, Russell Wilson can produce high volume wide receivers, and it just wasn't happening there.
I know. It didn't work in Pittsburgh. Nobody's saying it did. Nobody is saying that he was this amazing teammate and awesome person and a model pro. No one's saying that.
Yeah.
But for the Cowboys, I understand taking on the risk because I don't think he could be moody, he could show up late, all that stuff. I just don't think he's going to torpedo the Cowboys and what they have. I don't think one person is able to do that. The only person who can do that is Jerry, quite frankly. And Jerry's a strong personality. And, listen, they do talk about Dak as a leader. I think that's something that you probably have to be a little more boots on the ground. You got to see it every day. You got to understand what he's about because everyone says it. I know you and I don't see it as much, but, we're sitting here thousands of miles away.
You cannot ignore the last 35 years for the Cowboys. You just can't say this based on the way they play. And only on the way they play, this locker room is not super strong because they underachieve. And there's got to be a reason. There's just something missing there. You're probably right. It is probably Jerry. Probably people go to the owner instead of the coach and all this.
Yeah.
But I just think that he's one of these guys that there's this fantasy that he's going to come to my team and not be a distraction. And usually in the NFL, it doesn't work out that way. Guy, especially with the Steelers. I saw so many graphics of the former Steelers receivers who went to other teams. It's laughable. Yeah. They all bomb, every single one of them. Except for Plaxico Burress had a little success, but generally...
little success. He won a Super Bowl with the Giants and caught the game-winning touchdown and maybe the biggest upset in the history of the NFL.
Greatest day of my life.
How many... But, yeah, he was drafted in 2000 by the Steelers. In the last 15 years, the number of receivers that they've drafted who've been productive in Pittsburgh and bombed on their next team, I think there's 6 guys.
Listen, and I'm never going to be an Antonio Brown defender. Also did win a Super Bowl. In Tampa.
Yeah,
but I know, but that sounds silly because he's so...
Yeah, I think there's one Pro Bowl season out of a former wide receiver from the Steelers out of 35 potential Pro Bowl seasons, and tons of money spent on these guys and tons of draft resources, and it never works.
I know. Well, Santonio Holmes also made it to a AFC Championship game, right? Was he on both those teams, EJ, or just one of them? I can't remember. Anyway, 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. I thought just one of them. Okay, so we want to hear from you Cowboy fans. Again, we will get to what was the insanity last night in Boston.
Santonio Holmes, by the way, one of the worst free agent signings in the history of the NFL.
Well, Le'Veon Bell was. We can just go through the whole...
The first year of Holmes wasn't that bad. It was good.
Yeah, something happened later on, and there was an issue.
They made him a captain year 2, and then he became a lunatic.
There was a situation in Miami where he basically quit on the team. But anyway,
did they pay him $50 million?
I don't remember.
At a time when no receiver got $50 million?
Jets legend, Santonio Holmes.
A few of those.
Trade was good. Signing was bad.
Jets legend, Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, Cowboy fans, about you today, 888-710-4ISN. And Steeler fans, if you want to weigh in as well, it looks like Mike Tomlin was the one who ordered the code red as opposed to Omar Khan, although, we have friends in Pittsburgh who believe that Aaron Rodgers also had something to do with it, which is bananas because he's not even on the team yet.
I mean, is it that bananas? This is Aaron Rodgers we're talking about, Maggie.
I know, but you're not even on the freaking team, and we're
Don't
already
be a freaking weirdo.
We're already getting reports that not only was Rodgers or our friend Andrew Filipponi believing that Rodgers also did not want to play with Pickens, but that also now they're targeting Alan Lazard.
Serendipitous.
You got to be.
Remember a few years ago when the Denver Broncos set up their entire team for Aaron Rodgers, including hiring Nathaniel Hackett, and then he didn't come there? That could be this case. I mean, they had a blueprint. We're going to build the perfect Aaron Rodgers team. Then Rodgers decided, or for whatever reason, didn't go there. They didn't pull off that trade. And they had Russell Wilson, who didn't fit any of that stuff for Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, it was the biggest nightmare. That could happen to Pittsburgh. I had forgotten about it.
And Hackett lasted
1 year.
Less. He got fired he didn't even finish out the first year.
Yeah, that didn't work out well. I wonder if Pittsburgh is going to be the new Denver in that sense. Oof. But then again, they have not put as much into it as Denver gave up 2 first-round picks for Russ. That didn't exactly work out.
No, it did not. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Also, some interesting stuff about Jerry Jones that we'll get to. Did he sabotage his own team a season ago? Try to prove a point to Mike McCarthy? Man, I feel like I just said all these nice things about the Cowboys, and then I had to do that tease.
Are you kidding me?
I am not. We will get to the Celtics. Back-to-back blown 20-point leads. We got some happy Knicks fans here today, so we will get to that and how did the Celtics choke last night. It's the Maggie Perloff Show.
I've never had anything I wanted I couldn't get.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We are the New York Knicks. 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 Say go New York, go New York, go. Go New York, go New York, go.
Welcome back, Maggie Perloff Show. Gosh, can we play the sound yesterday, Maggie, where EJ and Manny, the diehard Knicks fans, were guaranteeing the win yesterday? That was awesome. Remember when you guys came in and said, we're going to definitely win game 2?
I do, yes.
Do you know how much that means today?
You know, I admire
nothing.
I admire your restraint, man. That we got 21 minutes into the show before playing the Go New York, Go New York, Go. Because to be honest, I thought it'd be more like 12 minutes into the show, 2 minutes into the show. A whole 21 minutes was really good. But you guys deserve it.
Yeah.
You know, how the Knicks keep coming back in this way. We will go through the entire anatomy of a comeback.
New York Knicks.
Or the anatomy of a collapse,
Yeah.
if you want to do it from the Celtics, because
We are the New York Knicks.
the reigning champs are got to be in panic mode.
I think we can sucker Manny and EJ into some crazy bet right now where they were coming naked if the Knicks lose because they are very
Please
confident
don't.
right now. Hey,
Not a chance.
why are you taking a shot? I think they would look fine.
No, Mr. Fade his own team is not. We're not falling for any of those.
I'd like to
tricks.
see
right,
his
let's,
splits. What did Paul Pierce promise he would walk in the snow or something? To
He's got to walk barefoot to his show today.
yeah. So
Lotion
I
up
feel
those
like
feet, Paul.
because
Imagine how disgusting Paul Pierce's feet are. I mean, and that's any
He needs
professional
a lot of
athlete.
lotion, Maggie.
What's that?
Needs a lot of lotion, Maggie.
Oh gosh.
uh,
That was always the thing about being in a locker room back in the day. It's like you don't want to look up. You got to keep your eyes down, like as a courtesy when you're in a very intimate space like that. But then you get a glimpse of these guys' feet sometimes, and it's like, how are you standing?
You're
It's like
one
a
to
gnarled
talk,
tree
Meg.
trunk. Well, mine
No
are just
offense.
huge. They're not like mangled.
I do think I'm going to work on this during the show. I'm going to sucker you guys into a bet because yes, they're up 2-0, but what are you willing to put on the line?
Listen, let him enjoy it, Pearl. They're
no,
up 2-0.
what are you talking? Let him enjoy it. Come on, we have an opportunity here.
Okay, we'll get to all of this, which I kind of, listen, we'll talk about it. The Knicks, yes, all the flowers. Mikal Bridges should have been 10 first-round picks. Who cares? He's been worth it in this series.
Oh, I might get you into this bet too, Maggie.
But for the Celtics, this is pretty embarrassing for them.
Maggie's wearing her Nick Blue as well.
I noticed
so,
that.
Yeah.
I don't do my outfits to the news, guys.
Oh, I'm sure. Mm-hmm.
We're up at 3:30 in the morning. Who's thinking that way except for you guys look like the Knicks City dancers here.
Let's go.
And I mean that in the nicest way possible. Matt is in Fort Worth. Big Cowboy fan. What do you think about the Pickens trade, Matt?
Hey, good morning. I think the Pickens trade is a good trade for George Pickens. He's averaged about 65 catches a year, 1,000 yards. So the production's going to be there, especially for a third-round pick. What I don't understand is the side that doesn't like the trade, but last year Jerry traded for Jonathan Mingo and a 4th-round pick, and he only had like 4 more catches than I did last year. And so, I mean,
but nobody liked that Mingo trade.
Nobody did because
Right.
nobody knew who he was. Nobody saw a star talent. And I understand the wide receiver mentality and maybe the diva of it, but I mean, people here last year were crushing Jerry for not making a move, and then now people here are crushing Jerry for making a move, and it's like, what are you supposed to do? All I say is, are the Cowboys better than they were 3 days ago? I would say they are, and that's part of doing your job, is making your team better.
Yeah, Matt, listen, there's all the reasons in the world to pick apart some of the moves that the Cowboys have made and how they've handled contract negotiations with their stars and all the ways they've hurt themselves. I can't pick them apart for this one. So you took a risk on a guy who you can easily get rid of after a year if things don't work out for a 3rd-round pick. You know, you already paid Dak Prescott. So, you know, I get it from the Steelers' point of view. They want a 3rd-round pick, Pearl, in case they need to make a move for a quarterback next year. You're trying to stockpile all this draft capital, you know, for next year. Cowboys aren't doing that.
Yeah, I mean, the Cowboys, it is low risk because if Pickens gets a good contract next year on a new team, they'll get a comp pick, so there's some protection on that pick. Didn't seem like they gave up much. But I have to look at this, even from the Cowboys' perspective. They were trying to get this guy for a 4th-rounder, and when the Steelers wouldn't do that, they finally upped it to a 3rd-rounder. I just think we might be overestimating his value based on the market. Like, obviously, this guy is not sought after by every team. The fact that they had to wait to see if they could draft her, they waited on Tedrow McMillan. He was gone at 8.
Yeah.
If they'd gotten him, they clearly would not have done this. So
Sure.
I don't even know if
Plan
the
B.
Cowboys. I don't even know if the Cowboys are in love with George Pickens.
Listen, they're trying to come up with solutions, you know, rather than just sit around and whine about it. They're actually doing something about it. I can't kill them for that.
No, you can't kill them in this particular move, but you have to look at the Cowboys as a totality over the last 5 years under Jerry Jones. There is something wrong.
Well, I mean, yeah, definitely. But there are a couple things. I actually want to get to this Jerry sound in a moment, but quickly, Jerry in Texas, is this the Jerry?
Well, it's not the Jerry. It's a Jerry.
Okay.
Hello.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm living the dream. I got to tell you, everybody I talked to is real happy about this trade, but it got us thinking yesterday, what are the best combination wide receivers in Dallas Cowboys history? What do y'all think?
The best Cowboys wide receiver tandem in history, Jerry. Enjoy the rest of your morning.
George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb.
Talent-wise, yes.
Calling it now.
We were just actually we saw that subject up on the line. We were looking at Alvin Harper. I couldn't remember Alvin Harper's name, but he was really good
With Michael Irvin.
Yeah, it's got to be Michael Irvin and Alvin Harper. Old school Cowboys was. I just had to look to. I forgot Tony Hill was really good for a little while with Drew Pearson. So that's probably the other competitor. Do you count Witten in this mix at all as a receiver?
Des Bryant and Witten.
Yeah, but Witten's a tight end. So
T.O. and Witten.
T.O. and Witten.
I mean T.O. They didn't really do much when T.O. was there, right?
They haven't done much in the last 30 years.
Yeah, I was going to say they were a playoff team, but
But he was
then,
a
you
Pro
know,
Bowler.
I think T.O.
you
was
don't want to get into that, or
maybe a little bit past prime by the time he got there.
I mean, they were good. They had some horrible playoff losses when T.O. was there.
Yeah, because
They were
they were
favored
a
to
wild
win.
card team, right?
What's that?
No,
They were
they
kind of a wild-
they lost to the Giants at home.
Yeah, they lost to the Giants, and that was one of the miracle Giants runs. That was
It's my teammate. It's my quarterback.
that's my quarterback.
But I mean, that team, I don't remember them being
What a crybaby.
Super Bowl threat or anything.
Remember,
close to it.
I think they were already selling tickets. There's a story here. They were already selling tickets to the divisional round
Yeah,
or
they were
something.
13-3 that year. They were definitely.
they were good.
They were
He was
definitely good.
33 by the time he got there.
It's still T.O.
Yeah, but I mean, still, obviously, he had he had 1,100 yards.
And then 1,300 the
Yeah.
next year. Forgot
I mean,
about that.
again, like that's
15
definitely.
touchdowns.
Do you think that's better than Michael Irvin and Alvin Harper?
1,300 yards and 15 touchdowns is crazy. He was all pro first team. That's really good.
Let's put that poll up.
Okay.
What's a better thing, Alvin Harper and Michael Irvin, or T.O.
And Jason Witten. Or T.O. and Dez, did you say? Or T.O.
No, I said T.O. and Witten.
and Witten. Yeah. Okay.
Don't put that poll up. I'm just kidding. Like, of course it's Michael Irvin and Alvin Harper. That's the greatest Cowboys team that ever walked the planet.
Well, clearly a lot more success. I do want to play some of these clips here from John Machota, and then we'll get to Gordon Damer, who's here with updates for us today. Let's hear from the Cowboys beat writer for The Athletic. He was on a Scoop City pod with Chase Daniel and talking about Jerry Jones. So this is someone who covers the Cowboys every single day, okay? In the locker room, talking to everybody. He thinks Jerry Jones didn't do more last offseason because he was holding on to bitterness towards Mike McCarthy.
Last offseason, I felt like as much as he liked Mike McCarthy, I felt like that with Jerry somewhere, and he'll probably never admit this, I thought that there was probably a little bit of anger and holdover from the way that they lost to Green Bay, and that he was in a position where he was like, well, I'm not going to do much on this roster. If Mike's going to be the guy and get a contract extension, he's going to have to prove it with what we got here, and then we'll go into next offseason.
I mean, let that sink in. Think about that. You're so ticked off of your coach. Won't fire him, though, because Jerry doesn't like to pay people not to work. So you got to get everything out of the contract. Had to make Jason Garrett work to the last day, even though Mike McCarthy is sleeping over at Jerry's house, wearing his pajamas. You didn't want to fire McCarthy, but yet you were holding such a grudge against him for how embarrassing that loss was to Green Bay that you pivoted on your all-in because you didn't want to bail out your head coach and give him talent. And people think Jerry wants to win? Guys, I'm sorry. I've been right about this the whole time. Jerry does not care about winning. He cares about thinking and making you think he wants to win. He's already in the Hall of Fame. He's already made the Cowboys into a $10 billion, $15 billion, whatever they are, team. And he's going to pass it on to his kids, and that's fine. That's a damning thing to say about the owner.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Did you just go on and on about how this George Pickens move is a win?
Well,
move?
now I like the Pickens move. But I didn't have that information. I didn't have that information yesterday. I just think both things can be true. I
Jerry
like the Pickens move, and I think this is abhorrent what I'm hearing from the owner. They should be rioting in Dallas.
Jerry wants to win. He's just a wild egomaniac who wants to win on his own terms.
Get your damn act together.
He basically saying that he tanked the season last year.
Machota went on to say he desperately wants to make Schottenheimer look good, so that's why he did the Pickens trade.
Oh, let's hear that cut, Manny. Yeah. Can we hear cut 6? Please.
To me, this deal looks like I'm Jerry Jones. I picked Brian Schottenheimer as the head coach. A lot of people question that. I want him to have as much success as he possibly can.
But
you guys thought you had your hands full with Nico Harrison down in Dallas. Oof.
I think you confusing intent and incompetence.
I've done it before.
I just think that a lot of owners, everyone thinks that they're an NFL team, they know what they're doing. I think Jerry wants to win. Personally, I still will disagree. I understand, listen, the facts are on your side. They are saying relevant but not Super Bowl contender. I think he wants to win the Super Bowl badly, but his ego gets in the way. If it wasn't, he would just get out of the football side altogether, right? He would hand this over to Steven and whoever. He would not be the GM anymore.
I mean, can you imagine tanking your own team because you're ticked off at the coach, but you don't have the gumption or whatever to fire the guy?
Can you
just
imagine?
Fire him. You could have hired Belichick or whatever. I know Belichick's not looking so great now, but, put yourself in a time machine before we ever knew who Jordan Hudson was.
Can you imagine yourself being the 82-year-old owner of a team and also being the GM of that same team?
I sometimes think of what I might be like if I get to my 80s. Like, knock on wood, nothing is promised in this world. Every day's a gift. But what am I going to be like?
Okay, let's rephrase the question instead of going off to the left wherever you just went. What if you were a 42-year-old?
I'll still be waiting for the Bills to win. That's probably true. Thank you.
What if you were a 42-year-old owner of an NFL team? Would you actually decide I'm going to be the GM too?
No.
Do you know what other owner has done that in the history of pro sports? No other owner.
Al Davis.
It's not exactly the same. Al Davis was the GM, then he bought the team, right? He came up as a GM.
Well, Jerry fancies himself this big football guy.
When you're general manager, of which
Al
I
Davis
am,
you don't think of what you're going to be like in your 80s? You think that's me? I'm out on a limb here. Nobody else thinks about what your older age is going to be like.
I don't know. It's funny. A Jerry Jones conversation quickly transformed in what am I going to be like when I'm 82?
I just wonder, it's like, how much, are we still going to be doing Botox then? What am I going to have in my face? Anyway, Gordon Damer is here with all the latest headlines. Good morning, Gordon.
Good morning to both of you. This update sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs for protection on the road and on the water. See how much you can save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. Well, I enjoy other people's pain. That is still true. Hard to have more history in the playoffs than the Boston Celtics. They made more history last night, just not the kind, obviously, that you want.
It's Tatum. Robinson's on him. Tatum maneuvering. Oh, the ball out the way. Another great defensive play for the Knicks. They've got it. They've won it. New York has gone up 2 games to none.
Yeah, Kevin Harlan on TNT. Celtics have now blown more 20-point leads in the last 3 days than they did all of the regular season as the Knicks win Game 2, 91-90. Knicks 21-2 run in the fourth. Celtics missed 14 straight shots at one point.
And
hit the music.
I saw that same stat that they had only blown one 20-point lead during the entire regular season. How is this not in your head at this point? And I know the Celtics are a better road team than they are a home team. The crowd got tight. The team got tight.
Definitely in their head. There's no way it couldn't be.
So, I mean, do you have a prayer? Do they have a prayer to come back in the series?
There are definitely adjustments. Put Al Horford out to pasture as number one to get anybody else on the court.
When he stops hitting corner threes, it's like,
Yeah.
well,
But I mean,
that was kind of your thing.
I hate to be like, is Porzingis in trouble? Like,
Yeah, he's
no, I mean,
so
like,
ill.
like, is his life in trouble? What's going on with him? He just
Porzingis.
he looks like a shell of a human being out there.
They've never figured out what he got. Where was the All-Star game this year? This is where he got sick, right? Was it in?
He didn't make the All-Star game.
No, but I thought he was at
went
the
there?
All-Star. It was over the All-Star break. Part of me is when he got sick. Where
is that
was
right?
he?
I actually didn't know that.
It was in San Francisco. Like, did he have Lyme disease? Like, what does he have?
He was very cryptic after the game. I do not have that cut lined up right now,
Yeah.
but he said he's going through something but didn't want to get into any
right.
details.
Like,
but
he says his energy just will crash at certain points during the game. I don't know.
It's a big problem. I mean, Horford, if you look at the plus minus, is drastically the worst on the court for the Celtics. And Brunson hunts him in the fourth quarter.
When Porzingis was a rookie, he talked about he has anemia. So that
is that what it is?
True.
Well, he's had this forever.
Yeah.
Like he takes iron pills and all those things. I don't know if this has something to do with that or if the illness is then.
That's what I mean by not
helping
look
his
right. That
hurtiness.
would explain like why
Yeah, that makes
it just
sense.
doesn't look like he's okay.
His immune system is definitely compromised,
Okay.
unfortunately.
I mean, you're 7'4", right? I mean, that's probably comes with some crazy health concerns.
I will get into this later, but can the Celtics just not have a big man against the Knicks? Is it
Well,
because
the problem is
Yeah.
the Celtics have actually rebounded the ball pretty well in this series, and that's an important way to beat the Knicks.
Yeah.
If you take all your bigs out, the Knicks are going to kill you on the glass.
Yeah, Mitchell Robinson, for as ugly as these free throws look, he was corralling some pretty amazing
Yeah.
rebounds when the Celtics couldn't hit the beach.
Because
the ocean? Whatever.
I saw there was one play the Knicks did 4 screens on the big man to try to get the switch to Brunson on Horford. Like, there's got to be adjustments, right? They're up by 20 in the fourth quarter of every game. You can't get up by 20 unless you have something going on.
I don't know. You would think Joe Mazzulla would make adjustments after he sees his team just miss 3 after 3 after 3 after 3 after 3.
know.
And yesterday he said before the game that we don't think we need to make any adjustments.
Well, that's probably
Ooh,
not
that's
the good
so
thing to
interesting.
say. Back to you, Gordon.
Yeah,
Interesting.
they've now missed 75 threes.
Is that
They're
bad?
keeping score at home in the first 2 games. And Jason Tatum in the fourth quarter, in both games combined, 6 points, 1 of 11 shooting, 0 of 9 from 3.
Is that bad?
Also not good.
Manny, try to contain yourself over there. Meanwhile, the chat saying Manny looks like Freddie Mercury. Back to you, Gordon.
And unlike Sex Panther, which works 60% of the time every time, teams that win the first 2 games of the playoff series on the road go on to win that series 85.7% of the time.
Well, happy Knicks fans today.
I just looked at it.
I would have expected more out of the control room already. I was kind of trying to set them up to just spike.
Kobe Bryant, job not finished.
The Celtics are still favored as of this morning. The Knicks took a slight favorite in Vegas last night, and now the Celtics are minus 120, plus 100 for the Knicks.
All right, go bet them.
I'm not doing any bet here. You guys are the one who are going to have to come in half naked. Not me.
I've not bet nothing. I'm just rooting for my team, baby. Go Knicks.
Oh my God, winning EJ is the worst.
How?
Why? He's being muted.
I'm not even talking trash.
God,
I just
it's
said
like
job not
Treat it
finished.
like a business trip.
Yeah.
All the millennial like defaults are coming out and
Why? I think you're having trouble coping here, Pearl.
Exactly.
Your team won the Super Bowl, and you're not used to any of our teams being successful. And I think it's quietly killing you.
Yes, not quietly.
I also feel like
it's
Loudly,
terrible.
it's loudly
It's
killing you.
terribly. I mean, I hate the Celtics too, so this is not easy. But no, it's definitely killing me. But you guys, again, it's the whole New York City. It's not just I can't stand New York City sports fans. I'm just going to say that right now.
Well, I'm sorry,
The
you
worst.
live here.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean I can not dislike them. I'm terrible. That's obvious,
You're
right?
outnumbered, is what I'm saying.
Were you expecting this to be finally the comeuppance for the control room for both of them? Because you figured
Comeuppance. They haven't won a title in 150
no, but like
years.
they've been like chomping at the bit. You know, I'm sure over the course of the year, the success. This is not normal success for the Knicks, even before this series.
Let's go. They were kind of down because Tibbs was on the hot seat, and the team couldn't beat one of their main rivals all season long. You know, couldn't beat a good team, if you will.
True.
So,
EJ fired Tibbs like three weeks ago.
Definitely.
Oh, he's going to get a contract extension.
Yeah,
no matter how this series ends. He's here for the long haul. So this might be a win for you, Perloff, in the you just have to play the long game.
So they can lose by winning the series?
Yeah.
Tibbs is going to be coaching Knicks as long as Jerry Jones is running the Cowboys.
After this.
And you know what to say about Tom Thibodeau.
He is like really the straw that makes the drink go. Sure.
Just like Reggie Jackson said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Knicks Celtics went right down to the wire. The Nuggets and Thunder, not exactly.
Gildas Alexander out of the pack with the retrieval. Up the right side against Gordon. Stutter steps. Drives and crosses over, pulls up. 15-foot jumper on the way. Nothing but net. He shed Gordon as if he wasn't there. Oh, Shea, don't be so mean. 24 for SGA, 9 of 11 shooting.
Yeah,
Sean Gilgeous Alexander.
Matt Pinto, the call on the Thunder radio network. It was like the Thunder, pretty much the Nuggets weren't there, not just that one play. Nuggets take game 2 in a squeaker, 149 to 106. OKC had 87 points at halftime. That's when I decided to go to bed. 8 players in double figures. SGA led with 34.
The chat rightly pointing out a little pot calling the kettle black of Perloff noted Philadelphia sports fan to be calling out any type of other fan for being insufferable.
Go Birds. Yeah, I mean, listen. Phillies fans might be the worst, but New York, Boston, Washington, D.C., all the Northeast fans stink. We're all awful.
D.C. gets a stray?
Well, I'd say a big sports talk, right? Like, there's nothing worse than a parochial Northeast sports fan. You guys
of
don't,
which you are a card-carrying member.
Yeah, I know, and I'm the worst. But yeah, obviously, like if you really want to dig into it, Boston sports fans are. There's nothing more insufferable on planet Earth than a Boston sports fan.
I will drink to that.
Yeah, I mean that's just facts.
We can all unite around that fact.
Boston fans will admit that. Philly fans are well hated, but I think that we do need to focus on how bad New York fans are as well. Let's not let them skate.
Philly's worse. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. And I think Boston is number one. And I think that they would take that as a badge of honor.
Well, the thing about New York is they have 2 fan bases, and they have 2 teams. So that has always sort of made it an odd fan base. Philly, everybody is united. New York is kind of divided.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, lots more to do, including, thank you, Gordon, lots more to do, including some candid Tom Brady quotes. He was on the Logan Paul podcast. This dude have time or what? To be fair, though, they did a really great job with the interview, and I enjoyed it. We will get to that. More of your phone calls, too, on the Cowboys' big trade. I don't understand why people are killing the Cowboys for this. What's the big risk? You don't like the guy, get rid of him in a year. Let's hear from you. 888-710-4ISN. Maggie Perloff Show.
We are the New York Knicks.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff Show. Unpack more of the Celtics blowing back-to-back 20-point leads to the Knicks. It was stunning. The Knicks had not led the game, Pearl, until 2 minutes left to go. They took the lead because the Celtics just could not buy a shot. It was almost like bizarre to watch a team that just won the title. We know they're good.
How did that team win the title?
Are we starting to look at that and say this was a one-off? No, they were a team that was circling, in the Eastern Conference Finals year after year.
This series has been a reminder why we can't have a repeat NBA champion. There's too much parity. Health clearly an issue. Everybody's kind of Jaylen Brown's knee or hamstring. It's his knee is messed up. Tatum isn't himself. Porzingis is sick. So it's just hard to run through the NBA playoffs is a marathon, which, by the way, is still true for the Knicks. I mean, the Knicks are putting a lot of minutes. That's my actually bigger concern. can they keep this up because they're going to probably go 6 games here, 7 games against the Pacers, then they get the Thunder. I mean,
it's a lot. I mean, Bridges, though, has been like they called him the Iron Man last night on the broadcast. He never misses games. He played 51 minutes or whatever the last game one, which went to overtime where the Knicks won, and then last night he was on the court the whole game.
Right, but I mean, are his legs there consistently per shot? How many did he end up with last night?
Well, he was awesome in the fourth quarter. He was, Bridges gets the flowers today because he came up with for the second game in a row, comes up with the huge defensive play to seal it for the Knicks. But offensively, he was phenomenal in the fourth quarter when Brunson was on the bench. I think he had 14 points in the fourth quarter. You guys can double check me on that with Bridges. Yeah, he was really a factor. But
that was it, though.
But as for Tatum, so Tatum is the one who's getting most of the ire here.
Yeah.
And Tatum scored 13 points in the first quarter of game one. Okay.
That's pretty good, right?
In the 7 quarters since, he has scored a combined 23 points, including 1 for 5 in the fourth quarter on threes. It's just been so bad for him. And I want to be fair. At the very, very end of the game, when it's a 1-point game and we all of a sudden start to go a little back and forth, Tatum had an amazing coast-to-coast, goes right down the Knicks' throat for a dunk, hit 2 big free throws at that time, but then the Knicks adjusted on the final possession, and, they basically got OG Anunoby to kind of drop a little bit. Anyway, they couldn't, and, they set some. What happened?
They didn't have the wild moving pick. They just had a semi-moving pick.
I was going to say, there was a lot of movement there, but they weren't calling anything at the end of the game,
dunk,
so I'm not going to kill it.
On the dunk, that might have been called in the NFL. That was such a ridiculous moving pick by the Celtics. But anyway.
It was pretty bad. But anyway, the Knicks made the adjustments, and Tatum couldn't even get the shot off.
Yeah, I mean, it's in his head, right? He had some open looks, too. These are threes that he normally, I think, would hit. Not even a guy on him. He's got to just pass on that 3 and try and get to the hole. That's obviously the key. Or I think even he realized that by the very end, but it was too late.
So Joe Mazzulla, who also has never publicly criticizes his guys, said they were inefficient in game one. Didn't need a genius for that. You hit 15 of 60 threes. So yeah, I'd say that's inefficient. He said Tatum passive in game 2. Ouch.
I'm sorry. He said
he was too passive.
Oh, sure. Is Jaylen Brown himself does he have the legs underneath him to do this? I'm wondering about that too.
Because he's still out there. They're playing him a lot of minutes.
I remember last year he could be a dangerous weapon in the last 5 minutes of a game. I felt like he was super clutch at that time, and he's just not there right now.
8 for 23 last night, and the thing about Brown is that he turns the ball over. 6 turnovers for him last night. And that was something that really plagued him in playoffs past before last year when he was finals MVP.
He was dominant in that first half last night.
Yeah, he was great.
But the one thing I noticed, and I said this on Twitter, was that he's going only to the power game.
Yep.
He cannot get by anybody. Right. So yesterday he tried to just burrow right over Josh Hart, which he was doing. Josh Hart 6'5". And then it seemed like the Knicks started to realize, okay, he has no confidence in his 3-ball. So we got to play him for the drive. Yeah. And once they started doing that, he started getting open looks, was missing those threes, and then the drive lanes weren't as easy. And I think Perloff said, I don't think he has his legs late in games.
They're trying to post him up like a big guy, too.
Yeah, because you always tell when a guy doesn't have his legs when he goes to the basket and then immediately starts backing down.
Yeah,
he goes to the back down so fast because they're cutting off his drives.
Here's my big question. If you're the Celtics, what do you do about Jalen Brunson in the fourth quarter? How do you contain this guy when the game is on the line?
Well, they're leaving up to Drew Holiday and not really bringing any help.
Send a double as soon as he gets across the timeline. I think that's how you stop it.
Well, I think, that's why let's hear some solutions. I like what Manny's saying. Mazzulla's got to think of something, send a double, but then Brunson somehow finds the open guy.
It's so weird because the Knicks don't actually run that great offense, but,
but the
Celtics are kind of making it easy on them because, like you said, they're a team that switches. They love to switch. They think Al Horford can win those matchups or at least be respectable, and it's putting them in bad spots. Brunson likes to operate in those switches, and he's killing them.
Yeah, and he's a one-on-one. Is there in the fourth quarter, 2 minutes left? Is there anybody in the NBA who can cover him? Because he's fast enough and strong enough to outmatch anyone.
I think to Perloff's point, I want to give him some credit from a couple days ago because I thought the Knicks defense really forced the Celtics into some terrible shots in game one. That was not what happened last night. The shot selection from the Celtics was inexcusable.
Yeah.
I mean,
they were missing everything. They were missing short. They were missing deep.
No.
But it was like when you have a team that's up 21 points in the NFL and they're throwing on first down every play. Like they're up 12, 13 points in the fourth quarter and they're still shooting threes in transition. What are you doing? Use some clock. Move the ball. Like they threw that game away. I'm happy they did, but they absolutely threw that game away with the shot selection.
A 16-point lead with 9:46 left to go in the game, and the Celtics missed 15 of their next 16 field goal attempts. It was the perfect collapse, if there's such a thing. 888-710-4ISN. So much more to do, including we hear from George Kittle.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Lot to get to today. Celtics choke away another 20-point lead, including a 16-point lead deep into the fourth quarter to the Knicks. We have the fallout from the George Pickens trade to the Dallas Cowboys. But, some interesting quotes coming from George Kittle, who's recently talking about his San Francisco 49ers. Welcome to the show, by the way. Maggie Gray and Perloff. Good morning. George Kittle was talking to NBC Sports Bay Area and said he's talked to Brock Purdy about going through these contract negotiations and what it's like.
To an extent, the only difference is like a quarterback's contract is significantly and astronomically different than a tight end's contract. So just trying to be as realistic with him and trying to connect it as best as I can.
Yeah. Okay. So, understatement. A little harder to get these quarterback contracts done than, tight end. But to be fair, Kittle now highest paid tight end in the league. We'll see how long that lasts, though. And more from Kittle on sharing the similarities with Brock's story.
Me and Brock have a lot of things in common, kind of like two kids that came out of, no really high expectations for either of us, and we've both exceeded those expectations. And so while his is, I think he kind of took a rocket ship a little bit faster than I did. Mine was over the course of several years. His was over the course of like 6 games. But I'm just trying to help him out as best I possibly can.
Yeah, so nothing like yours. But, we love Kittle around here. This is not meant to nitpick what he was saying. But another thing that he did say, Pearl, was he was glad that the 49ers aren't having, quote, a super drama-filled offseason. Last year, it couldn't have been worse in terms of the offseason, and it was stuff that seemed avoidable and completely unavoidable. Things that seemed minuscule and minor to things that were incredibly tragic and really sad. I mean, it really ran the gamut. Not to mention they were coming off the fact that they lost in overtime to the Chiefs when they had a lead in the fourth quarter and just how devastating that is. But I got to ask Kittle, if he was here, I would ask him this. It hasn't been a super drama-filled offseason, and I get that Brock Purdy showed up to the OTAs, but the biggest question mark is still out here. Brock doesn't have a contract, and the 49ers should not have nobody's, I would say, sympathy or nobody's confidence that they are going to get this contract done before the season, right before the season kicks off. They go down to the wire with guys who have been with the organization much longer than Brock Purdy.
Maggie, haven't you been paying attention to everything coming out of California?
What's that?
They keep saying that there's nothing to see here. Why can't you give them the benefit of the doubt?
They didn't earn it. Maybe it's me. But don't you feel like a little bit?
No, I know what you mean. Of course, you're right. Maybe they learned their lesson, and nobody ever learns their lesson, so it's hard to say this. Maybe they learned their lesson last offseason, and maybe they actually are going to get this Brock Purdy thing done before it becomes a difficult issue. I understand exactly where you're coming from. Why would we believe this is any different than Brandon Ayuk or whatever happened last year?
Or Bosa. Or
right.
Anyone. Trent Williams. I mean, the difference is Brock's demeanor and maybe the fact that Brock was making $800,000 and now stands to make, $55 million or whatever.
They have a little more leverage over Brock because Brock has no money in the bank, and they could keep Brock for 3 more years if they want. They don't have to do anything with Brock, so I do think they're in a strong position. And it just seems to me, I heard John Lynch talk about this the other day too. They seem to have a positive, they love Brock Purdy. I generally think so. I think they're going to give him $52 million or whatever. I think they're going to get this done. And I actually think things are looking, I think this offseason is going as well as you could expect from San Francisco. As bad as last year was, I think it was a wake-up call. And what are they doing? forget Brock Purdy for 1 second. They are really putting every resource possible into that defense because the defense has been the main issue the last 3 years. Like all of a sudden, they went from the most dominant defense in the league to just an afterthought. So they brought in Robert Saleh again, made him the highest paid coordinator in the entire NFL.
Yeah.
And they drafted 5 defenders in the top 100 picks. They signed a bunch of guys who we don't know their names. I feel like they're trying to build a more solid base and do it the right way this offseason. Last offseason, way too much chaos. This season, it feels like they're strengthening their base.
And that's totally fine. And I'm not nitpicking what they've done with the offseason as far as the draft. I think it seems like they had a good draft. The insiders liked it for whatever that's worth. They did not draft a quarterback, trying to put the screws to Brock Purdy there. But also, this wasn't a good quarterback class.
Well, they did bring in Mac Jones, Shanahan's favorite.
Yeah, was that a threat? I don't know.
No, he's not a threat, but he's a good backup. I'm saying it's like they kind of. I think they've done a lot of little solid things as compared to flashy things. Where last season felt like they were just. I think they thought they were in the news too much, and maybe they're trying to do the opposite this year.
Yeah, and again, some their fault, some not. I mean, you have your first round pick, it's shot in broad daylight, and just it's a miracle that he survived and ended up having, being able to play last year. But I just think it's kind of crazy. You're like, yeah, we're not having a super drama-filled offseason when your quarterback's not signed. And you can say all the positive stuff, right? It's like, it's going great, and we love Brock. Well, then sign the contract. Because if it's going so awesome and everyone loves each other so much, and this is going to be fruitful for the next 100,000 years, and Brock Purdy is going to have his jersey retired. Now I'm going too far. But you know what I'm saying? If you love this so much.
If you love him, why don't you marry him? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if you love him so much, why don't you marry him? And I'm rubber, you're glue, and whatever you say bounces off me, sticks to you.
Exactly.
It's all getting a little childish.
You're ready for the rhetoric to stop and the guy to sign on the dotted line.
Kinda,
I get it.
Because here's the thing, I don't trust the 49ers when it comes to this stuff. Yes, do they ultimately get deals done? They do. Some I don't think are smart. I didn't understand why they extended McCaffrey out of nowhere when you had clearly Ayuk and Trent Williams needed to get done. There's things I can nitpick. And the fact that they went down to the 11th hour with Bosa, who we all knew wasn't going anywhere. That to me just signals, I don't know, you're trying to play hardball or for the sake of it. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But the owners come out and said they love Purdy. The GM keeps saying it. The coach keeps saying it. Yet we've got nothing.
I mean, they clearly did not love Ayuk last year. And they never
gave him so much money.
But they never, not that much money. What did he get? 28. He got exactly what he deserved, probably. He's like, he got Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith contract.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. It's like you went to this, and listen, Ayuk played a role. So I'm not saying that they took two to tango with that one. And Ayuk's out here, on social media and trying to publicly appeal to Jaden Daniels because they played together in college and the whole deal. But you did end up hanging on to Ayuk. Now, you didn't know he was going to get hurt, but you end up hanging on to Ayuk. And then the first thing that comes out of your mouth, basically when pen gets put to paper on the contract, it's like, well, they're looking to trade him. Like, guys, come on. Clean that up, I would say, right? It's like you're not going to – you tried to trade him before the draft.
You didn't like Ayuk. You clearly you need a receiver for Brock Purdy, and that sort of a critique of Brock Purdy. You can't not have a receiver. You knew Debo was getting old. That's just a fact. Now,
they got rid of him.
Yeah. So, I think let's talk about the Ricky Pearsall pick.
Yeah.
Because Pearsall came back, and he was okay, but you see – Ladd McConkey looks like a star on the Chargers. And a lot of people thought Ladd McConkey was going to be the pick, the former Georgia receiver. So I don't know if they got Pearsall right. Because look at their receiver room now. Ayuk coming off the injury. Jawan Jennings, we love, but he's a possession receiver. And Ricky Pearsall, they signed Demarcus Robinson. They need those guys to be good and healthy to make this Brock Purdy contract worth it.
Well, and Kittle and McCaffrey, who are both factors in the pass game.
Yeah, they're all both 100, but yeah.
Well, I mean, they just paid Kittle. They just paid him. And now it's not like it's not for a lot of years.
Yeah.
So it's just really to finish out this run or whatever.
But you're right. They really need a healthy McCaffrey. If I give you this, Maggie.
Yeah.
I give you 17 games of Christian McCaffrey.
I like that.
Are you into the Niners?
I'm sorry. I just want to look up. How old is McCaffrey now? Is he 30? I don't know. But
he is.
Yeah, give me
28.
Okay, not bad. Give me 17 games of Christian McCaffrey. Sure,
yeah,
I'll feel a lot
all
better
come
about
together.
I can't, I don't want to do the Pearsall, McConkey, did they take the wrong guy when one guy's returning from like a gunshot. I mean, it feels a little like, let's give him a minute.
Oh,
that's
get
so
out of here.
traumatic to go through.
No. Pearsall, you can't go back to the gunshot anymore. Now you just have to. That's happened. It went through him, thank God.
Yeah.
I think by the end, he was actually productive by the end of the year.
He was.
He's ready to go. I just don't know.
I feel it feels wrong to compare him to McConkey after 1 year when Pearsall went through something that I hope no one ever has to go through.
You mean wrong morally or wrong from a football standpoint, meaning he could be a lot better than we think?
I think this is one you got to give it time.
Again, morally or football? What are we talking about here?
Morally.
Get out of here. What difference does it make?
Morally, yes.
No,
give him a minute.
I don't know. I just wondered, was Ricky Pearsall the right pick there?
Yeah, I don't want to make that declaration yet. I want to give the guy a second to get his feet under
6
him.
feet tall, 190 pounds. Ayuk's not that big either. I just don't know if this is the receiving core that Purdy needs. If they're going to pay Purdy $53 million, they better make this work.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have prime Debo and you don't have prime Ayuk because Ayuk's coming off an injury. I just worry about this whole sort of stew here. But then again, I think that they are hoping they can run the ball and defense and then protect this sort of, I would say, a underwhelming receiving core.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. I think the 49er fans also very much wrapped up in what's going on with their Warriors right now, who are going to play tonight. George is in L.A., has a thought on that entire NFC West. What do you got, George? Good morning.
Yeah, hey, good morning. I think the 49ers will be better defensively. Their offense is a jigsaw at best. They'll be better, but I still think the Rams, I know I'm a Rams fan, but I still think the Rams and Philadelphia are going to challenge each other for the NFC Championship. It's just my opinion because I think the Rams are just on a different level right now. To be honest with you, they had a great draft, and they're just a team that's on a mission, just like Philadelphia.
Yeah, thank God it was snowing for that playoff game because I got to be honest, the Rams looked pretty scary coming into that game.
George, thank you for the call. Yeah, listen, they brought back Stafford. It's one last year with him as far as the contract is concerned. You brought in Devontae Adams, so we'll see what goes on with that. And then you see if the defense and those young guys continue to take these, sometimes it's not linear where you're just like you're good in year one and you're better in year two. You know, there's such a thing as a sophomore slump because of that. But if the defense continues to grow, I get what George is talking about.
But they have a bunch of other guys. The last 3 drafts, they've been on fire defensively. Those guys are really good, those young players. I totally agree. I think the Rams are in an elite level. Like, it's time for them to contend again. We haven't really talked much about it.
They were driving against your Eagles.
Yeah. They got Stafford at a bargain rate a little bit, took less money. Big headline last week. So, yeah, I agree with George. And maybe it's because George calls in all the time. But the Rams.
We got to keep tabs on the Rams.
The Rams should not be dismissed.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Okay, you're welcome to weigh in. Kittle says it's not a super drama-filled offseason, but yet their quarterback remains unsigned. I think it's just Purdy's way more low-key than like Ayuk. Ayuk really had to work for that contract. You know, he had to put stuff on social media, had to threaten to sit out, to hold in. Same with Debo. These hold-ins. I think Nick Bosa also did the hold-in. Like, you know, Purdy's going to go about this a little more low-key. Quite frankly, he has to because we hold the quarterback position to such a crazy, ridiculous high standard.
For some reason, I'm very confident they get this done before training camp, a little earlier than they've been doing. Training camp, say it's July 25th. I think it's done. I think they learned their lesson.
49er fans, how you feeling? 888-710-4ISN. All right, we had Tom Brady getting candid on a podcast with Logan Paul, which sounds like Mad Libs, but that happened. That really happened.
Is this a simulation?
Is it what?
Is this a simulation we're living in?
Yes.
Yeah, that came up, actually.
Of course.
Weirdly, that actually did come up. We also have a lot of stuff from the college ranks that we got to get to today. Not just the President of the United States weighing in, forming yet another committee. Nick Saban's going to be on it to try to really reform things in college football, but some interesting quotes from the defending champ Ohio State Buckeyes. 888-710-4ISN. It's M&P. Grr.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Perloff Show. I've been taking a lot of shots at New York fans because I'm I'm a little. I'll admit
just
it. I'm just a little hurt.
No, you're a little like a little FOMO maybe that the Knicks are up 2-0 against the Celtics and your 76ers couldn't beat the Celtics.
One of my go-to jokes is making fun of the Knicks, and I'm losing that superpower in real time. In real time. And I have my Eagles Super Bowl victory, which will be useless if the Knicks win the title. So I'm going to root
for the purposes
hard.
of this show.
Yeah. No, it's for purposes, you know how it works. There's sports power rankings amongst your friends. And right now I'm the top of the mountain. I mean, I love making fun of your Bills. I love making fun of the Knicks,
the
Mets, whatever. But we'll see if that goes away. All right, we have to get to this Tom Brady podcast at some point, Maggie, because it's your new Ipe. It's your obsession. It's
no conspiracies with this one.
I wish, by the way, you guys could have heard Maggie trying to pitch this podcast to Perloff. I mean, she was like, the questions were good. The conversations were interesting. Perloff's like, I'd rather die than listen to this podcast.
By the way, listen to our show. We'll bring you all the updates on the pod.
She was shocked by how good Logan Paul was.
I was.
And you were not, because you know him from wrestling.
Right.
Well, not just that, but I shouldn't have been that shocked. He's been famous since he was like 12, and he's been in front of a camera since he was a fetus. So I should probably not be surprised that he can handle himself. But
you mean the Disney guy?
Is he? I was like, wow, they asked him some really good questions. I was like, they were asking more concise questions than McAfee asks, who's getting paid $100 million or whatever McAfee's making. Anyway.
His In Utero YouTube channel got 1 million views a day.
I'm serious.
My dog.
I didn't mean to take a shot at McAfee there. I like him too.
Okay.
It's just I'm not familiar with Logan Paul's YouTube channel.
But now,
the only person on
now
Earth.
I'm curious. Now I want to hear the pitch. Why did this fascinate you so much?
I just thought, okay, Manny, can I have cut 18?
No.
This is the way the interview started. And I was like, you know what? This might not be your average Tom Brady interview.
Do you ever feel like all of this is just a social construct to distract us from the fact that we live on a spinning rock hurtling through space with no destination in mind?
That's brilliant right there.
Thank you, Manny.
I think of that all the time.
I know. Let's get to the real stuff. And I'll take Brady. This is now their conversation continues on the importance of not taking yourself too seriously because we're all on a spinning rock hurtling through space with no destination.
Sounds like Joe Mazzulla.
Life's short, and we may take ourselves way too seriously.
Yes.
And I'm not someone that takes much. I take death seriously, certainly, but you're right. I think about that a lot. In the end, what really matters. Actually, I have a friend, and I send a lot of galaxy stuff, and then you're right when you realize that's really what's going on. Why are we taking ourselves that seriously?
Do you think about death?
I mean, I'm in.
But isn't Tom Brady famously serious about everything? I'm thinking.
See, that's the other part. It was an interesting conversation.
Do you think about death?
But Brady is so out of his mind that he's like, I don't take myself seriously. And listen, he did the roast, so obviously maybe he doesn't. But Tom was the most psychopathic, crazy, insane, intense, focused, disciplined person. He obviously takes what he does extremely seriously. Held himself to the super high bar. What's that?
He ate avocado ice cream to remain pliable so he could play till he's 45 years old. He takes everything way too serious. That's why I'm a little confused by his answer.
Yeah, I mean, it was just it was interesting how someone sees themselves and how they actually are, right?
Well,
he sees himself as someone who doesn't take himself seriously when he's a maniac.
Do you think about death?
I think the interviewer could have said, I think we don't take ourselves seriously enough. And Tom Brady would be like, I totally agree. I think Tom Brady's just saying he's uncomfortable and he's saying whatever he can to sound cool in this interview. Can we go? I mean, I think he's realized, this guy is a young gun on the social media front. Not that young anymore, but he's a young gun compared to me. I better pretend I'm one of the guys.
Maybe. I mean, I think Tom comes across kind of easily as one of the guys. I think that helped him play football for 23 years. I do think
he's a bro for sure.
Totally. And
but he's not cool. He's never, ever, ever been cool. Not even sniffed cool.
I mean, he got Giselle. He
come
married
on.
a supermodel.
He is. No, but I mean,
That's
cool.
not cool.
Hip. Tom Brady has definitely never been that guy.
No. But is anyone looking for that for him?
No, but I just think that he's out of his element here, and he's trying to fit in.
We do have some. Let's also talk about what he told Shedeur Sanders. So we'll go to the top of the page there, Manny. This is Tom, I think, outright lying quite frankly, but you be the judge, that as part owner of the Raiders, and we know that he was intimately involved, Pearl, with the draft and with personnel moves, but says he was not part of the Shedeur Sanders evaluation.
I wasn't a part of any evaluation process or to
Skip
to
Bayless
see
says
that.
otherwise.
No. Well, everyone's got that's the problem with media is everyone can just say whatever the they want, and get away with it.
No, he's in the media, by the way.
Yeah,
but.
I know. He's making more than all of us combined, but and he deserves it. But this to me just feels like an outright lie. And then he does have a nice thing, some advice he gave Shedeur, but says he doesn't understand why he fell.
Nobody knows, and I actually texted Shedeur because I know him very well, and I said, dude, like whatever happens, wherever you go, like. That's your first day. Day 2 matters more than the draft. I was 199.
Yeah.
So who could speak on it better than me? Like what that really means. Use it as motivation. You're going to get your chances. Go take advantage of it.
Listen, it's Tom's origin story. He deserves to be able to go back to that at all times because he did overcome, a draft process that was clearly flawed, that didn't see his potential, right? And all things that he did to make himself into pick 199 to Tom Brady.
Yep.
But I'm sorry, I just don't believe this. And I actually think now it is even more damning on Shedeur that Tom does know him very well, saying that he knows him so well, and decided to pass on him multiple times.
I think I know why they passed on him. I don't think it was personal. I think they really want to support Geno Smith, and they did not want Shedeur Sanders hanging out over his shoulder. I think they really, and also Carroll's got, 2 or 3 years. I don't think Pete Carroll, who I think you and I disagree a little bit. I think he has a ton of power in this situation too. I think Brady listens to Pete Carroll.
Sure.
I think Pete Carroll's like, well, I'm not going to be there for Shedeur Sanders' prime anyway. I want to focus everything on Geno, and I don't want this headache behind Geno. I think they're really pro Geno, and to bring in Shedeur would have been a distraction from that effort.
Fair, but if anyone could handle it, don't you think it'd be Geno Smith? I mean, think of how his career is gone.
There's a lot of outside noise with Shedeur Sanders. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Geno probably could handle it, but if you're trying to really make Geno Smith a Pro Bowl quarterback, would that help? I don't think so.
See, I think Geno would be gracious about being a mentor also. So if you did see the, future was bright for Shedeur, if you did actually see the talent there and thought he could become your franchise quarterback, I think Geno would be the perfect guy to kind of show him the ropes, right?
Geno? Because Geno's been through so much, you mean?
So much.
I'm
the
not
guy's
sure.
clearly got to have a great perspective on the NFL, on life, on ups and downs. Geno seems like he actually has gotten that message.
If Geno had a bad game with 2 interceptions in week 3 or something, there would be people calling for Shedeur Sanders. I don't think Pete Carroll wants to deal with that at all. And also, I don't think it worked for where they are right now as a team. I think they're a little bit, not all in, but I think they're a win now team. Shedeur is a pick for the future. I just think they had no interest.
Yeah, I don't believe that Brady wasn't
at
all a part of the
Well, let me ask you this then.
Evaluation.
Do you think he had a negative evaluation of Shedeur? Is that where you're going with this, or just that he's not that good? What do you think the evaluation was?
Well, I think this is what I'm seeing from my vantage point. Tom Brady knows Shedeur very well. He said that, right?
Yep.
Didn't like what he sees.
Oh,
don't want that in my building. Not yet. You're either not now or just not yet.
Yep.
You're not ready. And maybe he saw that Shedeur is not serious, which was kind of one of the criticisms that came his way during the draft process. He wasn't taking the process seriously. And I don't think Tom respects people who don't work their butt off every single day. I don't think that's Brady BS.
Yeah. I hear you. I still think that I might be winning this debate about what Tom Brady's role is, because there's never been a team building that is more specific to one person than Pete Carroll. Drafting a running back in the first round, Pete Carroll's been trying to draft a running back for 9 years.
It was Ashton Genty.
Well, I know, but he took Kenneth Walker, he took Rashad Penny, he took all these guys. He's always overdrafted running backs, and he brought in Geno from Seattle.
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
I think Tom has. For right now, Tom is letting Pete have all the say. I think Brady is going to swoop in once Pete is done. But I don't believe, and also there were nice quotes about Cam Miller, the North Dakota State quarterback. Tom Brady's not watching tape, Maggie.
He is watching tape.
He is not grinding tape of 600 prospects.
It's all he does is grind tape. Maybe not of all the prospects, but
God,
of the quarterbacks.
He's on the spinning rock. He doesn't have time for this.
We are all on the spinning rock.
You just said that's all
Tom Brady.
all Tom Brady does is grind tape.
Do you think about death?
I think he was looking at tape of quarterbacks that the Raiders were interested in. I think they were sending him tape. Tom, what do you think? They'd be stupid not to.
You just said all he does is grind tape.
Well,
That's
as a
little
player,
different.
he did.
Okay. Yeah. Well, he said he wasn't in on any evaluation, and he told Skip Bayless, you can stick it, where.
I think that he was lying.
Yeah, but also, too, is it that hard to evaluate a quarterback? He probably watched every Shedeur game, too. I don't even think he needed any tape. He knows Shedeur. Yeah, I mean, listen, the Raiders were looking at Shedeur and backup quarterbacks. I don't know that this is the fingerprints on the team building that you think it is. That's where we disagree, and we will never, ever come to a resolution on this.
Can I give you just one more Tom Brady thing from this Logan Paul podcast? Because I had never heard this before, but you guys can stop me if you had. So they get onto the 28-3 comeback, and I'm sorry for everyone listening in Atlanta. Stay with us. This will not be so painful for you, I promise. But they're asking if this was like the game that defined your career, and he says, yes, it was.
From a game standpoint, yeah. That was
how good did that feel?
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. Like even still thinking about it, it's just 28-3, and basically everything had to go right, and we found a way to make it happen, and everything did go right.
Okay, but more from late in the fourth quarter. Brady says that he took a massive shot to the head in the fourth quarter and admitted he doesn't remember a lot of the rest of the game.
I was exhausted. I took a pretty big shot on our last drive. I got hit in the head pretty good. And I was on autopilot from the last drive in the fourth quarter and in overtime. Like there were 2 drives were really foggy.
Had you heard that before?
You don't know about my Tom Brady 28-3 concussion story?
You've got a Tom Brady concussion story?
I came out on the Dan Patrick Show and said I had heard that Brady had a concussion at the end of the 28-3 game, and the world conspired against me and said, you have no idea what you're talking about. I'll send you the big lead story on it right now.
Whoa.
It became a media story.
You're vindicated.
There's no vindicated. I knew it was a fact that it happened.
Vindication.
Amazing.
Yeah, there was
You finally get your ha-ha.
No, I knew there was never any doubt in my mind.
Oh, stop it. You should be peacocking around.
Okay, this story, but it's so funny. I'm actually reading it now. Did Tom Brady have a concussion when the New England Patriots won the Super Bowl by Kyle Koster of the Big Lead? They go on and on. They said Andrew Perloff, Sports Illustrated writer and tallest of the Danettes, factually true, went there.
I can confirm.
And then I tweeted out a picture. Believe the last concussion Tom Brady suffered was here in the Super Bowl because Giselle said he had a concussion every year. And I put a video of it because he falls down and he puts his hands on his head, which Chris Nowinski has taught us. When you put your hands towards your ears, that's because they're ringing so bad. It was obviously concussion. There was no doubt about it. I mean, these concussions are obvious. Concussion deniers are insane.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't remember this story at all. And
no, it wasn't a big deal.
Then. Like, I guess I don't remember anyone saying Brady was not himself at the end of that game.
It was me and Giselle. That was it. We were the only 2 people who knew.
Yeah, I'm surprised that didn't lead to some kind of, more fruitful relationship between the 2 of you.
Me and Giselle, my jiu-jitsu game wasn't strong enough to bring me in. Yeah.
Oh, man. Speaking of people who were right, so you're right about this, and you get vindicated now all these years later, or right in the moment, whatever you want to say. And our pal Pete Bellotti was 100% right.
Do you think about death?
Because the day after the Tom Brady roast, we were all saying, wow, haha, how funny that was. Look at Brady laughing at himself and all the jokes about him and Giselle and the jiu-jitsu instructor. And Pete came out and said that was abhorrent, reprehensible. He should be vilified today. What he did to his kids.
What?
People out there making fun of their mother and putting them in such a bad spot. And it turned out Pete was 100% right. And Brady said he regrets doing the roast now.
I felt
his kids were just like, what the hell,
pain
Dad?
For the kids again. When I heard that quote, I was like, oh, that must have been so tough.
I think you're an idiot.
I mean, they're professional comics, and it's a roast. I mean, that was rough.
But I was a baby.
Pete was right.
Yeah,
you were right. Pete was right. Anyone else want to take a victory lap? I said the Knicks should have drafted Mikal Bridges instead of Kevin Knox. What?
I was also with Pete on that, by
and
the
you
way.
were with Pete on that?
Said the Knicks should have what?
I was wrong on Kevin Knox. That guy's first summer league, I thought he was going to be the next face of the league. Do you remember how good he was?
Oh, yeah, we remember.
Remember that forehead? Good gosh.
We're all taking credit now. Gordon, you want to take credit for any takes you had correct?
No, it would take a little while, more research.
Come on, man.
I just found that Porzingis cut from the last hour. That's about as much as I can give you for right now.
All right, well, we'll take it. What's going on today?
Knicks 21-2 run. Celtics 14 straight missed baskets. Adds up to a Knicks Game 2 win, 91-90.
Oh, yeah.
The NBA, before this season, had never had a 60-win team face a 2-0 deficit in the second round since they expanded the playoffs to 16 teams. They now have 2, Cleveland and Boston, as the Celtics lose last night. So now down 0-2 after dropping both games on their home court. Last hour, we were discussing Kristaps Porzingis and his mystery ailment. I'm not sure that this clears it up, but
I'm dealing with some, I don't know how to call it, but I'm just not feeling my best. I'm not feeling my best at all, but you know, it kills me inside that it's happening in this moment.
I mean, not to be nosy, but what do you call it? I mean, I know there's a language barrier here, but
he speaks very good English.
Yeah,
he speaks amazing.
Yeah,
I've interviewed him before.
Yeah, there's no language barrier. He just doesn't want to share.
It's his own personal medical information. He doesn't have to share it, but I'm just curious.
That's HIPAA, Maggie.
Yeah, I didn't know about that anemia thing.
Well, it's actually not HIPAA. He can share his medical information.
Dak Prescott said that famously when they asked him about COVID.
It's HIPAA. About whether he was vaccinated.
Yeah,
right?
he said that's HIPAA.
Imagine if Rodgers had just said that. How much time and energy we all could have saved. Especially him, who's still holding a grudge against most of America.
Yeah, I think tell me about it. But no, I think the Porzingis thing, again, that's why, part of the reason why Knicks wanted to get rid of him. Like, he didn't want to be here, but I think they were very dubious about his long-term health, and there's always something with him.
Yeah, well, and that was more knees, and he had more.
Phil Jackson was concerned about the anemia thing.
Oh, he was?
Yeah, because he was having trouble with stamina, and, like, he would have bad second halves, and he couldn't.
What about the
stay healthy during the
pre-draft
game.
process? I mean, did they... Like, these guys, they research these dudes because they're making this massive investment. I imagine the anemia comes up.
But they were thrilled when Porzingis was there remember? That was a draft coup, I think. That was considered a great pick at the time.
Knicks fans didn't feel that way.
Oh, no. It wasn't until he started playing, then they liked him.
Yeah.
At first, it was Tingus Pingus.
We wanted Jahlil Okafor.
Well, the picks before him were such a night. I mean, the Sixers took Okafor. Was that Okafor? And there was another bad guy.
D'Angelo Russell was too.
Yeah.
So Knicks get up 2 games to none. Vegas is still not buying in. Celtics minus 220 to win Game 3 on Saturday. Knicks are slight favorites to win the series, though, at minus 110. Thunder responded how you would think a real title contender would after dropping Game 1 of their series at home. They beat the Nuggets 149 to 106. OKC shot 71% in the first quarter. They put up a record 87 points in the first half. SGA, 34 points on the night. He finished plus 51.
Is that good?
That's pretty good. That is, you don't need to be an analytics nerd to know that's pretty good. But David Adelman not feeling too good.
We got punked, and we didn't play well enough, and they came out with the right intensity, and we didn't. I thought we let some open shots early in the game affect us how we played defensively.
Yeah, you think? I mean, I don't know, Coach. Might have to go back to the drawing board on this one.
Well, by the way, they did what I thought the Knicks were going to do. Like, hey, we got Game 1. Let's just mail this in, save our energy for Game 3.
Yeah, I guess the part that could come back to haunt the Nuggets here, if they go on to lose this, was the idea that they were vindicated in their coaching move because they won Game 7 against the Clippers. It was like, wow, this worked out. You know,
a little premature.
Well, and then you get blown out in Game 2. But they did win Game 1, so probably a long way to go here.
The Thunder beat people, and it's like violent to watch them like beat somebody. Like watching that game last night, I was like, "This can we just like call mercy rule in this game?" Like,
running clock.
Yeah, like come on, this is over. And Adelman had them playing. He let Jokic just foul out. I mean, he played 32 minutes or whatever. Like he just let him play. He was out there. They were down 40.
Stupid.
He did foul out in the third, so
yeah,
it was deep in the third quarter.
I need to go home.
A lot of people felt that way. Mitch Marner, game winner, midway through the third. Maple Leafs take Game 2 against the Panthers 4-3, so Toronto leads that series 2-1. Also, Game 1 between the Stars and the Jets.
In front, the Stars shoot and score. Rantanen from the right wing circle. Can you believe it? He has done it again.
And that the call on the Stars radio network. Dallas takes Game 1 there, 3-2. Rantanen, first player in almost 40 years to score hat tricks in back-to-back playoff games.
Unbelievable. Awesome. Gordon, thank you so much. Coming up, we do have college football for you. We will not shortchange you on some of the big college football news that's been coming out over the last couple of days. But this one was crazy even for someone as nuts as Aaron Rodgers. I can't believe that this story is actually true. We got the details for you next.
Do you think about death?
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
What the is Aaron Rodgers up to today?
All right. This is getting weird even for Rodgers. And it has to do with football. It's not about ayahuasca. It's not about any other plant-based medicine or whatever else Rodgers is into. It's not in conspiracy theories, but it's just weird. And it's Mike Florio, who was on Pittsburgh radio yesterday, 93.7 The Fan. Our pal Andrew Filipponi tweeted this out. He was on the show yesterday. He said, Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, said a source told him the theory that Aaron Rodgers is waiting to sign with the Steelers until after the NFL schedule release so the league doesn't load up on early Steelers primetime games is, quote, right on the money. So Mike Florio is as plugged in as anybody, right? Believes it's right on the money that Rodgers is actually delaying his signing with the Steelers until after the NFL schedule release, which is this upcoming Wednesday.
Yep.
Yeah, they made an announcement in the draft
Yeah, I
of the
know.
announcement.
Yeah,
It was like all of a sudden
awkward.
a different show happened with Laura Rutledge and
wasted 10 minutes.
and Colleen. And
I love this theory in every possible way. Aaron Rodgers, if he's doing this, is the smartest thing he could ever do. Because he's got to get the Steelers out of those holiday games. I don't know what days they are of the week. He does not want to be Patrick Mahomes and Taylor Swift and have to play 3 games in 11 days. He doesn't want to be a primetime. I guess, because I've been following this story a little bit, no quarterback wants to play at night. They all want to play at 1 p.m. I actually had never heard that. I thought it'd be nice to play at night. You get your whole day. But they're such creatures of habit that they all want 1 p.m. games. So I wonder if the NFL is going to try and outsmart Rodgers in this one and give him primetime games anyway.
okay, that theory doesn't hold up because last year the Steelers had Russell Wilson and Justin Fields at quarterback, and they got all of the holiday games. They're good. It's one of the biggest fan bases and one of the most national teams we have. They're getting primetime games simply by virtually being Pittsburgh.
Mr. Unlimited.
It doesn't matter if Rodgers is there or not. They're getting the holiday stuff. They're getting the primetime games. You're the Steelers. You can't hide. This is so silly.
I'm not going to listen to your logic here. I love this theory still, even though you do have a very valid point.
What are we talking about? You can't. This isn't the Arizona Cardinals. No offense. Or the Carolina Panthers. You can't hide.
I said, "You don't know me," and he said, "You don't know me," and then I said, "Exactly."
Yep.
So good.
Do you have a problem with Aaron Rodgers playing chess instead of checkers? You just want. I mean, by the way, okay. Here's the bottom line. Give me a better explanation of why he hasn't signed yet.
Well, that I don't have for you. I think there really is just something in his personal life. Although, Manny, can I please hear cut 5? Thomas Tull, from my hometown, by the way. Billionaire and a minority owner in the Pittsburgh Steelers said it was on CNBC, and they asked him about the Steelers' pursuit of Aaron Rodgers.
I'm here to talk about AI, and that's a more complex issue than artificial intelligence.
I don't know if that's an existential threat, but we'll get it. We won't get into it. Don't worry.
Thank you.
What?
He said AI. I thought he was there to talk about Allen Iverson.
I'm just here to talk about Allen Iverson.
Yesterday was the anniversary of the practice rant, so.
Was it?
Oh, yeah.
That's the minority owner of the Steelers saying that Rodgers signing is more complicated than AI. Hey, Steelers, then maybe it's not worth it.
That's, again, don't be anti-AI.
No, I'm very nice to the robots. I always say please and thank you. I don't want them coming for me.
But I will give you, I'm doing some research here. The Steelers had 5 1 o'clock games last year. I think the Chiefs had 1. So they are.
But they did that Christmas, 3 games in 11 days thing.
They did. But basically, most of the AFC North got swept up in that one. But at least once in a while, they do get 1 o'clock games. The Steelers.
But they're going to get a Thursday, they're going to get a Sunday, and they're going to get Monday night. Like, you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, and
but the
every
Cowboys
game
and the
is
Chiefs
interesting.
never go into 1 o'clock window. It's never ever happens. They're always a 4 o'clock game or a night game. So maybe. And by the way, I don't know what the huge difference is between 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock, but I do think the Steelers are a tick below the Chiefs as far as scheduling chaos.
Okay, but see, here's the deal. And this is the theory that Aaron Rodgers is waiting until after the schedule release comes out on Wednesday to sign with the Steelers because he doesn't want all these primetime games or whatever. Here's the situation about that. If this is really, you're at the point of your career where playing an 8 o'clock Eastern time kickoff game is really going to impact you that much, then you are not even close to being a Super Bowl contender. So the whole calculation is off. The entire thing. You're not sneaking up on anybody. You're the Pittsburgh Steelers, and whether you play at 8, 4, 1, 11 a.m., Europe, it doesn't matter. You either are a contender or you are not.
Okay.
Guten Tag.
Last year, even with the Jets had 6 primetime games and the Steelers had 4. So Rodgers makes a difference. It does. But again, I understand
this is
what you're
like
saying.
your traffic and weather sad dad conversation. It's like it's the time the game kicks off.
You don't think Aaron Rodgers has some PTSD from his primetime carrying the flag out of the Jets game? I think he wants nothing to do with primetime anymore.
Well, listen,
Yeah,
I'm
carrying
fine,
the
but
flag out of
you're
the- against the Bills.
basically saying that he's so old that he doesn't want to play at night.
To be fair, he was very anti-Hard Knocks. Remember when the Jets got Hard Knocks? He said we'd rather not. So he definitely has been ducking the spotlight in some aspects.
Oh,
which
EJ,
sounds
come
crazy.
on. He
said it
does
for
a
Hard
weekly
Knocks.
on McAfee. He doesn't duck anything.
Well, that's different. I think when it comes to actual football games or football preparation, I think he does prefer less noise.
You cannot be serious in saying this with a straight face.
This is, and you know me, I'm the biggest Aaron Rodgers hater. And I'm being honest, though. The Hard Knocks thing was something he talked about as something that the Jets needed to avoid. He didn't like it. And I think when I heard this, I thought it was weird, but then I thought back to that Hard Knocks thing. And I'm like, well, it kind of makes sense. I do agree with you that if you're ducking the smoke, then you have no chance to win anyway. But I do
realize-
think that's his theory.
I can squint and see where you're coming from. That he didn't want cameras following him around and the Hard Knocks cameras. But the guy had his own documentary about him that filmed him going to Costa Rica and tripping on ayahuasca. The cameras aren't the thing.
Yeah.
Exclamation point.
He just he loves the attention. But that's why this whole story seems so insane to me.
Counterpoint, you will agree that quarterbacks are totally psychotic about details. So it is possible that he has convinced himself that I'm better at 1 o'clock. You know, and I don't think
Is that
Aaron
even
Rodgers,
true?
I don't think Aaron Rodgers is much different than top. Well, quarterbacks have these weird habits. I mean, Brady's talked about it.
Yeah.
They're creatures of habit. Now, I'm sort of trying to support this argument, but it is possible that he has convinced himself that this makes a difference. I'm not saying even the numbers play it out, but that seems like something. I mean, quarterbacks, they want everything just as they want them. And Rodgers is probably as particular as any quarterback.
I just think that you have a routine for 1 o'clock, you have a routine for 4, and you have one for 8. You have one for on the road, you have one for home, and yes, it's your routine, but you got to be adaptable. And I get it, guys want their naps and their pregame meals and all of that stuff, but you have to be flexible. And if it's really about not playing at 8 o'clock, then you are so far from being a Super Bowl contender.
It's also age here. I mean, listen, he's
I get it.
41. His bedtime, it's like me. It's 10 o'clock on a weekend.
He has to leave at
he's
halftime.
8 o'clock. Yeah. He's probably, if you see late in the game, he's looking at his watch on the Sunday night game. He's like, guys, let's wrap this up.
Yeah, he's like, I got a couple episodes of Yellowstone just waiting in the DVR.
Don't call it timeout. I am hitting my bedtime.
Don't call it timeout.
Like, remember when he pushed Robert Saleh during that Sunday Night Football game?
There's a guy.
Actually, was because he was cranky. It wasn't that he was mad at Saleh or anything. It was like, it's past my bedtime.
Yeah. Comes right from the game, right into pajamas, right home, sleep at the facility. Yeah.
But LeBron's taking note of this, by the way, too, because I think LeBron's the same exact way. He wants to be on his couch by 10 o'clock every night, just like getting deep into Netflix. Like he's one of us. Yeah.
No, we gotta actually talk to an NFL or a professional athlete about the nap schedule because we could use that advice around here.
Well, J.J. Watt, remember on Hard Knocks, J.J. Watt was getting into the science of napping and sort of introduced the world. You could have these 15-minute cat naps that refresh you. But I don't have the skill to do it. I'm too in my head.
So apparently Navy SEALs, I think either Navy SEALs or Marines, so forgive me that I don't have absolutely correct. There is a...
So individuals built like me?
Yeah, and swole people like Manny. You're supposed to lay down with your feet, I think, elevated above your head for 10 minutes. And I think that's what they teach you. I saw this on Instagram, so forgive me if I'm way off.
That's got to be true. It's on Instagram.
I mean, would Instagram lie about the type of naps that Marines take? Yeah.
Wow.
Although J.J. Watt, I always felt like was being a little selfish with that because he had his own little bed and area for the Texans, but no one else did.
Remember the Browns Hard Knocks when they had a room that was just for napping that I thought was so weird, where there was 10 beds? It was the most insane thing, and they all went in there and just lied down for a half hour, and somebody woke them up.
I mean, I get it.
But how do you fall asleep with a bunch of guys around? Aren't you tempted to make a joke or something and keep everyone up?
Did you ever go to camp? You got to sleep in a bunk, Pearl.
Yeah, but in the middle of the day? It was weird. Should we have group naps?
Yes.
Nah.
Somebody snores. I don't know who.
It's me.
Oh, all right.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
It's Tatum. Robinson's on him. Tatum maneuvering. Oh, the ball knocked away. Another great defensive play for the Knicks. They've got it. They've won it. New York has gone up 2 games to none. And defense again at the end.
And it was Mikal Bridges yet again at the end of the game. Thank you to Kevin Harlan and TNT for that sound. And I know we got happy Knicks fans around here, Perloff, and good morning, but this is about a Celtics collapse. It is about the defending champions now being on the ropes, dropping the first 2 games at home in this series and blowing 20-point leads in both games.
Is it possible to hurt your legacy in one playoff series? Because Tatum, I think, had established himself as a real NBA champion. Well, I know he didn't score that much in the finals last year, but he had really silenced all the doubters. Are the doubters just going to storm back now? I mean, or once you have that ring, can you just show that to people who question you sort of as a big game guy?
You know, it's such a great point because I was thinking about it. I'm like, man, Tatum is really taking on a lot of water here.
Yes.
You know, he's taking a lot of blame because he's been dreadful in the fourth quarter. But you go back to the fact that he was not finals MVP last year. That was Jaylen Brown. And then go to the Olympics where he couldn't get on the floor and everyone kind of took up for him and said, Steve Kerr, you're making a mistake. USA wins gold anyway, but you're making a mistake. How do you not play Tatum? And how do you not Tatum? And he is this superstar, but you're wondering it's not like in name only, right? Because of how bad he's played in the series.
I mean, I think that's where we're probably getting caught up a little in the moment. I think even if they lose this series, I think we're still going to, given time, respect Jason Tatum. I don't think he can lose it that fast. It reminds me a little bit, this is totally random. Remember Joe Madden was the man because he got the Cubs to finally break the World Series. Then he got fired 3 years later. To me, that was the craziest, shortest lasting championship.
How about
glow.
Doug Peterson?
Doug Peterson was very similar.
Yeah.
Right. Coaches have very short glows, but players, I would think, have at least 3 years. I would have thought Jason Tatum had at least 3 years to do whatever he wanted. But now, taking on water is the exact way to say it. There's a lot of doubt about is this guy clutch? Because Jalen Brunson on the other side is Mr. Clutch, and Jason Tatum feels like he is not that guy.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah.
Like Brunson continues to come through in these fourth quarters, and Tatum has just been terrible. But to be fair to Tatum, I think people have always been looking for a reason to pile on him. And I think the Boston fans are probably number one.
That's a good point. I know
sure.
You're right. There's always been doubt about Jason Tatum.
And there was a lot of doubt about the combination of the two, Tatum and Brown together, and are they going to be able to keep them together? And maybe there's still some doubt. The Celtics have new ownership now that's going to really take effect in a few years, but they're clearly handing over the reins to someone else. I think people are very quick to pile on Jason Tatum, but to be fair, I mean, he's been 1 for 5 in the fourth quarter in terms of threes. He cannot score right now. He's just been terrible in these fourth quarters. And, he came up with a huge coast-to-coast dunk last night that broke a 0 for 15 by the team in the fourth quarter and hit some big free throws, but then that final possession can't even get a shot off. So, people are going to look at you and they're going to point and say, you're one of the reasons why this team keeps blowing leads. I think there's way more blame to go around with the Celtics. It should not come down to one guy, but he's certainly wearing it.
Okay, another question. Joe Mazzulla does not look good right now, the coach.
No, he doesn't.
I mean, is he, if they lose this series, say they get swept, is he going to be on the hot seat in a couple of years? Or has he earned a semi-lifetime contract there with Boston? I mean, the guy won a title.
The coaches, the glow lasts the least. Like Michael Malone for the Nuggets got unceremoniously shown the door.
A year and a half. Oh, my God. That's amazing. You're right. Joe Mazzulla is going to be on the hot seat before we know it.
Did I say Michael? No, I called him Mark one time. Manny will never let me forget it.
Former backup quarterback for the Steelers, yeah.
Yes, everyone knows that.
Sirius XM NFL channel.
But meanwhile, yeah, the coaches are always going to be in a bad spot here. Yeah, Tatum 1 for 5 last night in the fourth quarter, 0 for 2, 4 points. I think you're right though to bring up the stark comparison between him and Jalen Brunson. And to be fair, like Mikal Bridges really was the thing in the fourth quarter yesterday for the Knicks in a lot of ways because he was doing the scoring bulk in that fourth quarter, especially while Brunson was on the bench. But then Brunson came in and hit some big-time shots.
Yeah, I mean, it was a combo of both of them. You're exactly right. The Knicks just feel if they get in the final 2 minutes, they look like the confident team. They just want to keep it close because, and I think it's more because of Brunson. I know Bridges was great. I just think Brunson's like a superpower in the last 2 minutes of the game. The Knicks, if they can get it within 5, this guy is going to be unstoppable. And I don't totally get it. Why don't you build the whole game around that? Because I guess he doesn't have energy. He's saved it.
Brunson.
Why is he not playing? Why is he not dominating the first 3 quarters? I'm asking my Knicks friends over there.
I mean, honestly, I feel like the first 2 games, I feel like he was just missing shots he normally makes.
Yeah, okay.
I also think Drew Holiday wears down as the game goes on.
Oh,
I think Drew Holiday's an excellent defender, and I think he guards him really well. And first quarter, he's probably the freshest, and I think that's why Brunson's shots are a little more rushed. Fourth quarter, Brunson's a much better fourth quarter player. I think Holiday's still dealing with a hamstring. Not exactly 100%. And you saw that last play when he fouled him. Yeah. I mean, Brunson had him on skates. I mean, he was like, the only chance he had to not have him score was to foul him, you know? And that's not Drew Holiday defense. He's one of the best ever.
So where's Mazzulla in all this? Why isn't he making an adjustment?
Well, we'll see what happens in game 3, but I don't think it's too little too late. I still think there's a long way to go in this series because, to be fair to the Celtics, they are a good road team. I do think they get tight in front of that home crowd. You can start to feel it. Reggie Miller said it last night on the broadcast. He's like, it is, I think he called them nervous Nellies. Nervous Nellies all in TD Garden or whatever. More here on Tatum. Shooting 25% on threes in the series, 28% overall just on field goal attempts, which is dreadful. He's 1 for 12 from the field in 2 fourth quarters in this series, including 0 for 7 from 3.
Wow, that's not good.
No, it's not.
He did have that dunk last night at the end of the game.
Pretty sick.
And I
gave him the lead back for a second.
My Knicks Twitter went crazy. Why are you letting him just run down the lane like that? Not ideal. I had full
Al Horford pushed OG Anunoby out of the way.
That didn't help.
It's been happening all playoffs.
I had full confidence that Brunson was going to score on that. And honestly, if they didn't foul him and put him in foul line, he easily would have hit that shot.
Yeah, he almost made it, even though he got fouled.
Yeah, he's just unstoppable. I think that Mazzulla, he's going to be put to the test here. He's got to tell Jason Tatum, stop shooting threes. Don't let him take. How about the Celtics come out and just don't shoot a 3? You know they won't. They're not going to change. Mazzulla said they won't change.
Also, that looks like a panic move. I mean, I'm not saying you shoot 60 threes in a game, which they did in game 1 and only hit 15 of them. They were 10 for 40 last night. It has just not been working out well for them from downtown. But you also can't panic.
I don't know. There's another team in the West. The T-Wolves are just as historically bad their last 2 games from 3. I just think at a certain point, if your team's not feeling it, they get in their head. You got to adjust. You got to change. Jason Tatum's got to take it to the hole. He's got to stop being so ridiculously soft in this series.
Well
otherwise, the Knicks are going to have a parade and it's going to clog up traffic on my way to work. I'm telling you,
a little part of Perloff's going to die.
Tatum better step up right now.
So I would offer to play you some Jason Tatum sound from last night, but I cannot because a fire alarm went off after the game that forced everyone to evacuate.
Here in our building?
No, in Boston last night.
Oh, my goodness.
And if you were looking for a more obvious metaphor for what's going on with the Celtics, Well, the season going up in flames, dumpster fire, inhaling smoke. I mean, pick whatever metaphor you want here of the fire alarm going off, Pearl, so that Jason Tatum could not do his media availability after the game.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, as Joe Mazzulla would probably say, I mean, we're all just specks on this floating rock in this universe. What does it all really mean?
Yeah, he's going to need that kind of perspective if they get trounced by the Knicks.
Great move
here.
by Jason Tatum pulling that fire alarm, so you have to answer any questions.
I saw Missoula's
Do you
press.
think about death?
Missoula's press conference, he acted like it's his style. Like he just lost a regular season game. He's like, yeah, we're going to look at the tape and make some adjustments. He had, he's very low key, didn't panic, didn't call out anybody. I don't know if that's good or bad. I couldn't tell. I can't figure that thing. I mean, he's inscrutable, right?
Yeah, well, he did say he thought they were being that Jason Tatum was being too passive. So it's not calling out, but for kind of is.
The one thing about the Celtics, Nick, gotta be very careful. Remember, 2 years ago, this is a team that was down 0-3 after losing 2 at home to Miami and forced it all the way to Game 7. The Celtics
they lost.
They are a very weird team where they will give up games where you're like, how do they lose that? And they'll win games or go on runs where you're like, how are they doing this? So this series is by far not over. Knicks have to be on their P's and Q's because Boston is very weird when it comes to these situations.
Also, the Garden is not the home court advantage that you think it is. The
real
Madison Square Garden.
The real one.
How are the Knicks at home, right? They've been pretty mixed.
Well, that's a problem, and teams have been able to come to the Garden and win, too. That's been a huge thing as well.
Yeah, because the Knicks crowd gets nervous, too.
Right, and I was going to say that. I actually feel like that's why I think that winning one of these games was crucial because I think in the Detroit series, the Garden crowd was not the normal Garden crowd. I think there was a lot of anxiety coming into these playoffs that this was going to be an early exit. So I think the Pistons were very comfortable. Winning these games ensures that Madison Square Garden is going to be a zoo.
Get the out of here, Detroit!
And that's going to be a different atmosphere than what you saw from the first rounds. I'm very curious how Boston stands up to that.
EJ, can you do me a favor while I take this phone call? Can you look up what the get-in price for that Knicks game at Madison Square Garden is? I'm curious to know how expensive the tickets are on the resale.
Should we go over under?
$800. JT's in Atlanta. JT, you think the Knicks are setting themselves up for some disappointment here?
Yeah, I think Boston has them right where they want them, right? Because I think this is going to be the most Knicks thing that you've seen in a long time. Just think about it, right? The fact that they are up 2-0 after, starting on the road. Everybody's expecting them. I mean, all the expectations are you've got to win this series, right? I think the pressure to win this series for the Knicks has never been greater. And I don't know if that's a place that they thrive in. And so I'm thinking that, one game, right? So they lose game 3. Do you understand that the hair on everybody's neck in New York is up? If they lose game 4 and it goes back to being tied, everybody knows it's over. We're done. Like, we had them, and now it's even again. They can't even let the series get even at all. Like, it just can't. If it ever gets to a point where it's tied at 2-2, 3-3, whatever, they're toast. And I think that, I don't know if they're ready for that kind of pressure, and I think that, it would have been better off if they would have just gone 1-1 as opposed to being up 2-0, to be honest.
JT, it's an interesting call, and I think even in their with a little truth serum, I think even our diehard Knicks fans over here might agree with you that if somehow Boston can return the favor and win 2 games at Madison Square Garden, you're going to think, all right, Tibbs has been outcoached now, might not have another move to make on the chessboard. I imagine people are probably going to be upset at who would be wearing it. Probably Karl Anthony Towns. I don't know. But
well, I wonder, are we discounting the health problems with Boston, though? I feel like, yes, maybe if Boston's full strength, you could look at it that way. But Jaylen Brown's not Jaylen Brown. I don't expect Porzingis. Is he going to make some incredible recovery here? That seems unlikely. Horford looks his age. I just think that there are reasons that I understand what he's saying. I mean, that totally makes sense. EJ pointed out the same thing. The Celtics are unpredictable. But I wonder if these are real fundamental problems. Like, it's not an accident they're blowing these leads.
Right. And just, you play deep into the finals last year. You win the finals, and does it show itself the next season?
I mean, it reminds me a little bit of last year. How did the Nuggets lose in the second round to a very young Timberwolves team? I'm not quite sure. You lose a little depth. You have a small injury here or there. It's so crazy parity. By the way, can we talk about that all the road teams are winning in this second round? Are we missing? Is there something going on in the NBA where teams don't like playing at home? Except for, obviously, OKC last night. But
yeah, they won by, 50?
First time in NBA history that's ever happened, that all 4 road teams won game 1.
Is it just like a fluke? Is there something about the home court?
I don't think home court's what it was.
Why?
I don't know. Same in NFL. Home field's gone away. I'm not sure.
EJ, what's the get-in price? Knicks Celtics on Saturday.
Okay, so according to TickPicks,
$396.
No, double that. $710 to sit in the nosebleeds.
Wait, which nosebleeds?
Section 421 to be
With
exact.
the blue seats.
Over $700 for nosebleeds.
Yes.
Wait, per ticket?
Per ticket.
Oh God.
Average price is $989. If you want to sit courtside, you want to splurge.
Yeah.
$54,000 a ticket.
How much? How much would what is it? What would be Game 5 be in Boston?
$54,000.
Hopefully
ticket.
there isn't a Game 5.
Yeah, that's really
You're not
funny.
wrong. 6 and 4.
$54,000. I don't even think you can get those courtside seats, by the way. I think that the Garden obviously controls them. I think they hand them out, don't they? Don't they decide who
some
gets
you
them?
can buy, I think.
You can probably get some on StubHub.
Yeah, I've seen them on there. Sometimes for fun, I like to see, what's the Garden courtside seat today?
I like to pretend I'm rich too.
$54,000 for, is that a good use of your money?
Yes. Absolutely.
888.
Imagine paying $54,000, and I don't want to speak into existence. I'm gonna knock on wood, and the Knicks lose. Like that's insane.
Well, that's the
I
thing
get
about
angry when I spend $200 and they lose.
Well, that's the thing about sports, and I've always said this to Perloff. Like, his dream is to own a sports franchise. And I was thinking about this when Steve Ballmer was sitting courtside, the gajillionaire. I don't even think there is a number for how much money he's got. And he's sitting there watching the Clippers lose, and I'm like, yeah, and now he's just like everybody else. Like, it's fun to be rich and own the team and all of that, but you sit there and watch your team lose, you're feeling the agony. It doesn't shield you from that. It's kind of the one thing the money, you say, like, money can't really buy, right? Because Ballmer would have bought a championship if he could have already.
Yeah, but I mean, I would not bring James Harden in if I owned a team.
Why not?
I think they're going to extend him.
I would never be in that same situation as Ballmer.
You'd be smarter.
Yeah, no, I would. Also, in my fantasy, I kind of own an NFL team. I don't know why.
You own the Eagles?
I would definitely own the Eagles, but I feel like the NBA, it's harder as an owner. The owners are closer to the team. Like, you're sitting there courtside and everyone's watching you. I feel like NFL, it's a little easier.
You can sit up in your luxury suite on your throne, like
get to go
Robert
to
Kraft.
Owners' meetings in these fancy resorts and be muckety-muck. Yeah, being like Mark Cuban and watching the Mavs lose a critical game, that's very painful.
From the bench.
Yeah. Or like the first row, your guy Dolan.
Not my guy.
He's
Our
on
guy.
camera when they lose. Yeah, I think it is hard for an NBA. That's painful. You're right.
I think it's so funny, too, that in this fantasy that Perloff has of owning an NFL team, you can't wait to get to the owners' meetings. Like, the most boring place on earth. Like, yeah, it's in a nice place. Okay, but you're rich. You can afford to go to the Breakers.
He wants a vacation to Palm Beach, Florida.
Do you know the food they serve at those things? Oh, by the way.
Pigs in a blanket.
Can I do a little tease that I'm going to surprise you with that you're going to be interested in?
What?
Food at the owners' meetings. I have the menu at the Conclave.
Shut up.
Get out of here.
Yes.
We were just talking about this yesterday. How
Yes,
did you
we
get
were.
this?
I have some sources in Vatican City.
They definitely get Chick-fil-A, right?
Not on Sunday.
That's true.
And whose fault is that? Anyway, okay, good tease. What are they eating at the Conclave? Do you see the smoke came out yesterday? Obviously, we all know the smoke came out black yesterday.
Yep.
No news.
Should come out in blue and orange.
Was that
It's not the Empire State Building.
Did it come out black because someone was burning the blackened chicken? We'll find out next.
Oh, Maggie and Perloff Show.
Let's go, Knicks!
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. I was perusing the New York Post, as I do every day, looking for sports stories, and I came upon this story that I knew everybody here would be interested in because we talked about it yesterday. Here's what Cardinals eat during the conclave and why ravioli and roast chicken were banned.
What?
You will not guess why they were banned in a million years. The food at the cafeteria at Casa San Maria consists of little more than simple spaghetti, boiled vegetables, minestrone soup, and lamb skewers for the duration of the secret ritual, according to the BBC. Food you could eat at a train station, groused Cardinal Mauro Piacenza. Others describe being served...
That was even better in person.
Yes. Others describe being served watery sauce and bland pasta at the cafeteria. And Pope Francis apparently liked simple food. But why they banned fancy foods, including ravioli, is crazy. Apparently, they used to be very concerned about poisoning at this event.
Really?
Yes.
Like recently or back in the 1500s?
Back in the day.
Like cardinals, poisoning cardinals so that they can become pope? That doesn't seem very holy.
The practice of secret safe food dates back to a time when the papacy's reach was far more intertwined with political dealings, and keeping an open line with the outside world during the secret proceedings could have dire consequences. For example, in the year 1274.
Oh, of course.
During the conclave that set the precedent for today's secrecy, Pope Gregory X laid down these rules because he was so scared of poisoning.
I mean, who could forget what Greg did that year?
Yeah.
Question is, what did Jerry Jones have to say about it?
Yeah, poisoning was a big deal.
Well, listen, I get it.
So that's
how about
so they gotta
Michael
eat
Jordan
bland.
playing in Utah? I mean, what happened to that pizza?
Everyone comes to Rome and they can't even eat good food because they're too scared of poisoning. Ravioli has too many options to you can stick it in the. It's crazy.
If your ravioli's compromised, I mean, how do you live?
It's the second reason to mourn Pope Francis's death. You got to eat this.
But you did learn a lot about
RIP.
Maggie. Maggie heard about this conclave, heard Rome, and was like, ooh, what are they eating?
I did say
Because
that.
Rome food is, I can't imagine how good it is.
Yeah, the best in the world. And now they're eating what? Like with ragu on top and, watery sauce and
You know what?
boiled vegetables? Blah.
Sounds like a Game of Thrones meal.
I also got the sense that what they consider watery
Death
sauce
row.
in Italy is probably
better
better than
than-
anything we get here.
Their
And they
bad
did-
food is our amazing food.
And
It's
they have to
possible.
settle for lamb skewers. I'm like, I'll bet you that food is amazing.
He said it's train station food.
Yeah, at a train station in Rome, it's probably 4-star in America.
I actually saw a good what if.
Yeah.
We were doing those the other day. Would you rather have been a king and queen or royalty 100 years ago or live as a regular person now?
Yeah, it's not even close.
What?
Regular person now by 50 miles.
Yeah, you want to get to modern dentistry and
Nah.
surgeries, like modern surgeries.
You want
Anything before that, you probably that's a no go.
I don't know.
Plumbing.
I could probably take on the guillotine though.
And win.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You had a
Undefeated.
bucket.
Doing a lot of neck exercises.
That's why I go to the gym.
Queen Elizabeth had a bucket in the corner of the room.
A lot of
That's
shrugs.
gross.
A lot
Yeah.
of shrugs.
No, I know you got to live through the bubonic plague and stuff. I don't want to do that.
It's 100% the bathroom stuff.
I lived
That's
through
all.
COVID.
You don't think it's also the dental stuff and the surgery stuff?
I don't-
Like I
it's-
want anesthesia. If heaven forbid I need something, something's got to go.
Imagine if they had to repair my knee and I didn't have anesthesia. I might, oh my gosh, I can't even think about that.
Well, you would be playing kickball if this was 100 years ago, probably too. You'd have something better to do with your
What,
time.
bows and arrows? What would we be doing?
I don't know, getting water from a well. I have no idea.
You're gonna bite this towel and you're gonna take the surgery.
Yeah, have a little whiskey. I don't even think they had that back then.
Delicious.
Oh no, they probably did have whiskey 100 years ago.
I can't believe, so you guys are more concerned about these medical issues than the bathroom situation.
Well, I think there's an outhouse.
Oh, come
Also,
on.
no. Here's the thing: what you're discounting. If you're royalty
Yes,
100
it's-
years ago, someone else is taking care of that bucket, not you.
Yeah,
And that
I mean,
sucks
still,
to be
but-
that person. I'm sorry if anyone's eating their breakfast this morning. We're asking if would you rather be royalty 100 years ago or a regular person
I mean,
today?
you've seen Benjamin Franklin's house in Philadelphia, right? I've
Yeah.
seen the hole in what's left of his house. That looks fine. I don't think Benjamin Franklin was taking care of that. Come on, Mr. Philadelphia, you know that.
He's too busy inventing electricity.
Exactly, and bifocals or whatever he did.
Yeah, I just don't think the day-to-day was nearly as comfortable, even for kings and queens, as it is today.
I'll grant you that, but you still had a lot of privilege. Listen,
Yeah,
I'm not saying I would pick it. As a woman, I'm not going back in time. Are you crazy? I'd
Why
be
not?
an idiot to do that. I don't want to go back 20 years, let alone 100.
You don't think Queen Elizabeth would give it all up to sit on a couch and watch Netflix like we do? I mean,
Give it all
I
up.
think the modern comforts are. They're
Give it all
most-
up like what? Spain?
Like what were their comforts back then? What even the kings and queens? What did they get?
You had a throne?
Assassinating the people.
Yeah, throne is super uncomfortable.
How do you know?
I sat on a mock Game of Thrones throne once.
Ah, of course, yes.
Yeah, would you rather have a throne or a lazy boy? Adjustable lazy boy? It's not even close.
Don't you call your lazy boy your throne anyway?
No, the throne is the toilet. Gordon, you feel like you want to say something.
Throne feels like a state of mind. Really, anything could be a throne if you want it to be. The lazy boy is a brand
Yeah,
name.
I agree with
you know?
that. Archie Bunker's chair definitely was a throne.
So wait, you brought this up. I bet you a lot of people were with me.
Listen, again, as a woman, even being Queen Elizabeth, that's like, I don't want anyone poisoning my food. I don't think that's going to happen to
But
me
Marie Antoinette.
as a regular person. I definitely don't want to be her because
No, but
I would not take on the guillotine, Manny, just like you.
The point of the debate is none of that. The point of the debate is about the level of comforts.
Right.
And you bring up a great,
Yeah, as a woman, I'm not going back.
Air conditioning alone.
Yeah. No, there's no doubt. It's the
But
average
it's England.
person.
Does it really even get hot there?
Well,
No,
you need heat,
but
though.
still,
They probably
yeah.
don't have heat either.
Well, they have
I mean,
fireplace.
sometime
Spain
in your
also.
life, it's going to be hot. You're going to need air conditioning at some point.
All right, Spain gets hot too. Spain had kings and queens too.
No, I get it. I guess I was just doing the Queen Elizabeth thing. Like, if I'm Mary Queen of Scots, although I don't think it ended well for her. Like, I'm in Ireland.
It doesn't end well for anybody.
Did you see on Saturday Night Live they did a skit this weekend? Is that where it came from? Because they did a remake of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure where they bring people back and forth from history.
Yeah.
And I think it's Frederick Douglass doesn't want to go back. He's like, I'm staying here in 1987. They're like, no, you have to go back to your time. He's like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah. It's kind of sad how I was introduced to some very important historic figures through the movie Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I had not really heard of some of those people until that movie.
1987. You taking that, Maggie?
87. I don't want to go back to 87.
But
Too much
basically,
cigarette smoke.
All the historical figures experience life in 1987 and say, you know what? I'm staying here. I'm not going back.
Yeah, right. You can just go to the
especially-
mall.
It was Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman.
Yeah.
It was a very, very funny skit. It's better executed than I'm explaining.
I didn't have no doubt. 888-710-4ISN. Would you rather be royalty 100 years ago or an average person, just a regular person today?
Wait, 100 years ago?
I said 100, right?
Oh, I thought we were going back to 1500s.
No, I said 100 years ago.
Do we have kings and queens?
They had plumbing and cars 100 years ago.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, I'm still one of those people who, when you say 30 years ago, I think you're talking about 1970.
Yeah. Oh, I'm right there with you.
And it's actually the 90s.
Yes, sir.
Which is sad.
100 years ago? Yeah, but then again, the
I don't
royalties
think there was
didn't have...
modern dentistry.
No, we got to go pre-French Revolution.
100% there was. They didn't, 100 years ago, they didn't have all the advantages of the old time kings and queens. They were already losing their power, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean...
But I guess I'm just saying, like, Abraham Lincoln times. Let's go back to that.
1800s.
I don't want to live.
No, you got to go medieval. I think the line is water plumbing. Before that, if you're going in an outhouse, you're going...
Once we get irrigation, that's when Perloff's in.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was a long time ago. I think the Mayans had that, didn't they?
I don't know what he's talking about. I'm not talking about how to water crops. I'm talking about...
I may have used that word incorrectly.
Yeah, that's definitely not the right use of irrigation.
Well,
irrigation.
It's the straw that makes the drink go. Irrigation.
He's on a Knicks high. He's useless
These
to us
guys,
right
they
now.
don't know what's going on. They're just so happy the Knicks are up 2-0.
You guys are just...
the Knicks?
Mm-hmm. Your
He's
Knicks.
saying words, but go New York, go is going through his mind on a loop.
Gordon Damer is here with all the latest
Yes, it
headlines. Hello.
Guys, it's the most shocking playoff round, perhaps in NBA postseason history, and it got another stunner last night.
Tatum, 5 seconds. Tatum at the free throw line. Tatum falling away in a baseline. His pass blocked by Bridges, and the Knicks have done it again. The Celtics do not get a shot away.
Yeah, Knicks do it again. Sean Grande the call on the Celtics radio network. Knicks come back again from 20 points down, beat the Celtics again. This time 91-90. Knicks 21-2 run. Mikal Bridges, all 14 of his points came in the fourth quarter. Celtics first team to ever blow 20-point leads in back-to-back playoff games as Joe Mazzulla's team went more than 8 minutes without a basket in the fourth quarter.
I made every play, and like I said, even throughout the end of that the fourth quarter, I thought we generated some good looks, and then I thought we had some live ball turnovers, and they took advantage of it. So they made the necessary plays to win. We put ourselves in position to do that, and we just didn't make the plays.
Gordon, I know this is very important, but I just want to bring something to the chat because Pine Needle said the food for the conclave is meant to be awful to encourage them to get it done, to get the vote done. He said a couple more votes and it's going to be cold pasta, no sauce.
Yeah.
They don't want everyone getting used to all this
Is
fancy
Bogish
food.
part of the conclave? Is that why he's out again today?
That makes sense.
I mean, I think they need him, quite frankly. Also, from Carrot in our chat, excited about what they serve. Papple potatoes, moons over my lammy, body of Christ prime rib, Eve's hot and spicy rib.
I like that.
That was bad, even for me. As a dad joke connoisseur, that was some serious puns going on right
Take
there.
it up with the chat. Back to you, Gordon.
I like it.
Now, you were talking earlier in the show about obnoxious Knicks fans, Perloff. Some Knicks fans refused to leave TD Garden last night after the win. I have a selection of them getting up to their hijinks.
I love us.
This is while
Wait, that was in Boston?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was at the Knicks watch party.
No, that was at TD Garden, and there was a security trying to get people out, and they were not leaving.
To be honest, it kind of sounded like there were a good amount of Knicks fans from TV. Now, that can always be a little weird, and you never know where the mics are and stuff. But there was a couple of those Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges baskets at the end of the game where it felt like
Well, none of the Celtics fans were making any noise, that's for sure.
They were nervous.
Yep.
Rightfully so.
Is it possible that the Knicks are going to sweep this series? Wouldn't that be something?
No, the Celtics are too good for that.
I'll be so annoying.
Yes, Manny will be insufferable.
A sweep would be insane.
I'd be so annoying.
Perloff might want to join the conclave if that's
Yeah.
If these two guys weren't over
Might
there,
want to start cooking for
I
the
would
conclave.
definitely. If these two guys, I would be rooting for the Knicks. If you're a neutral fan, I can see people rooting for the Knicks. Believe it or not.
I do think people get on the Knicks bandwagon more than any other New York team. I don't think you jump on the Yankees bandwagon. Certainly not the Mets.
Right.
I don't think the Jets and Giants really get any big fans. Unless the Giants are playing the Patriots or something like that, and you just want the underdog.
Yeah, I mean,
but people do like the Knicks, I
They're
think.
a bit of an underdog feel, too. You know, Jalen Brunson's got, I don't think Jalen
super
Brunson's
likable.
second round pick. He's got an underdog
You'd
vibe.
have to be living 100 years ago to remember when the Knicks last won a championship. So that might be part of it.
Okay, we get it.
But I mean, they have all the Villanova guys who are all super nice.
That's why I don't understand all this hate. Like,
No,
it's
I just-
Boston. It's Boston. Like, the
Yeah, no, it's
Villanova
just you
guys,
guys.
Mikal Bridges gave you a signed
It's
basketball.
just you guys.
Which, by
No,
the way,
I-
I still think is the good luck charm. I said this earlier in the season. Perloff got that basketball from Mikal Bridges, and we all kept grilling him about why he didn't get Jalen Brunson ball, and he said, I don't know. But now, look at what Mikal's doing in the fourth quarter. Fourth quarter,
Go
Cal.
New York, go New York, go State, go New York, go New York, go.
Fourth quarter, Cal was born because of Perloff getting the autograph ball.
EJ, were you with me at that game?
No, that was not me.
I think Lucy was with you.
I think Lucy was with you.
Oh, Lucy was
The story
okay, my
was
daughter.
what you guys almost got. Someone was sitting in your seats.
Next to the owner, Dolan. And they don't like any mishaps on the front row. So they gave me, he said, who do you want a signed ball from? And I should have said Jalen Brunson. But for some reason, Mikal Bridges was on my mind. I said Mikal Bridges. But you guys think I can sell that now?
You can't
to
sell
these
it
two
now.
guys.
Yeah, I mean, come on. We got to keep this in the house.
I will
It's
give
going
you.
well.
I will give you a nice, crisp $5 bill.
Wait, where's the ball?
I think it's in our office.
Really?
Should I hide it?
I think you should take it home.
Did you see Big Body Brunson? Did you
Why?
see
No,
him?
I can't take it home because, you know, if I have memorabilia around the house, the kids will inevitably have a catch with it or.
Got
Fine, I'll take it. Gosh.
it. Way to take one for the team.
We
man.
should put it in the office.
Yeah, that was the original plan. I thought it was in there, but it's not, I guess.
I didn't
hope
see it
In
there.
the office or in the studio?
No, I think we should put it in the studio. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, we have that. We've got the Buffalo Bills helmet that Boomer Esiason gave to me. We got to redecorate in here.
Guys,
Spring cleaning.
Would you guys be terribly offended if I walked out right now and saw if it was, now I'm panicking.
No, let's
know if
let
it's
Gordon
there.
finish his update. If
No,
nothing's going to happen, it's 8:30 in the
All right,
morning. No
Gordon,
one's
you
here.
finish your update. It'll take me a minute to get there. I have to see if it's there right now.
I didn't see it.
Oh my God, I'll be right back.
This is going to be
gosh.
such good radio when he comes back and can't breathe because he's just run down the hall and run back.
He's out. Bye.
Later, Perloff.
Okay, so the Knicks game went right down to the wire. Game 2 between the Thunder and the Nuggets. That one was over at halftime. OKC steamrolls Denver 149-106. SGA 34 to lead the way. Nikola Jokic, he finished minus 31 before fouling out in the third quarter.
They were just better. They were much better than us today, and that's the score. That's why the score is so bad.
Stanley Cup playoffs.
Simple.
It was the Stars getting a 3-2 win over the Jets to take Game 1 there. Also, Toronto up 2-0 on the Panthers, a 4-3 win in Game 2. And 2018, the last time we had a Triple Crown winner in horse racing. We're not going to get one this year. The Derby winner, Sovereignty, is not going to run in the Preakness.
Yeah, I understand why, right? Because the stud fees for these horses are so insane that you don't want to risk the horse getting hurt.
You just want a lottery ticket.
Yeah. You got it? Perloff is back.
He's emerged.
All right, it wasn't there. Where was it? I didn't see it at all.
I hid it beneath a bunch of Halloween costumes, wigs and things we had back there.
Yeah, that
just in
sounds
case.
right. Wait, let's see. I feel like we should be taking better care of this now. Bridges is becoming this postseason legend, Pearl. You could be holding like some really valuable memorabilia.
It's funny. He's averaging like 9 points a game. It's
an interesting autograph when you can't
quarter.
tell when it's right side up or upside down.
Yeah, I don't see any Mikal or Bridges in this autograph.
Or letters for that.
Are you sure it wasn't just like the usher who signed a basketball real
that's
quick?
Adam Silver's signature. That's what that is.
Yeah, on the
Commissioner
side.
of the NBA.
Yeah, I do not really know if it is Mikal, but I'm going to go with it. I don't know. Is he playing that well that it's going to be? I mean, a Brunson ball would be worth a lot.
It's going to be worth $1 billion, like I said in our group chat yesterday.
Well, we said at the moment, you should have gotten the Brunson ball. But listen, Bridges has come up with these 2 huge blocks at the end of the game.
I mean, it was so many first-round picks. I figured this guy, it was earlier in the season, I figured he was going to explode.
Well, now he is. Fourth quarter Kale has arrived.
I love everybody.
This is it. You're doing it.
So what do we do? Do we get a frame for this? Put it in a box?
I think so.
Yeah, we got to put it like that football.
Yeah, like the Jim Kelly ball that Sully gave to me, which sits right over my shoulder.
Huh. All right. I just worry about this place. Is somebody going to take this basketball?
No. Come on. Everyone's upstanding citizens here. They are crazy Knicks fans, but they wouldn't steal from you.
I have one person who might steal it.
Well, good thing, by the way.
Gelb sits basically courtside, too.
Hey, Gelb can get a basketball. He can just walk on the court in the way he sits.
Gelb can get a high five from Mikal Bridges.
Yeah, right. Exactly. He probably has his number. So I wouldn't worry about that.
I mean, Gelb seats are okay, but he doesn't have Josh Hart sitting there and talking to him about a foul call.
Yeah.
I think he does. He'd be sitting sometimes right behind the Nick bench.
No. You have not been in the seats yet.
Well, no, because I was supposed to go with you, but then you asked your daughter, and then she said yes, and then you got a signed basketball from Mikal Bridges.
Well,
he took you to a hockey game.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I took you to a hockey game.
Canadian, and whatever. I want the basketball.
You almost broke, and it was free food, which you almost broke the budget with your beer consumption at the hockey game, which was, by the way, normal for that section of the hockey game. Everybody else was.
You guys got to see an Ovechkin goal.
Now, the baseline seats Perloff has was crazy.
Well, some of us saw the Ovechkin goal.
Yeah, man.
Oh, that's right. You left early.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's a bummer, buddy.
You weren't there.
That's all right, buddy. He scored like another 800 that you could see on YouTube.
That's true.
Don't worry about it.
There's probably a 5-hour YouTube channel that has every Ovechkin goal.
Oh,
I'm
sure.
sure it's up there.
Well, I didn't leave.
It's like what they show at the Kremlin, just like on a loop.
To be clear, I didn't leave in the game where he scored the record goal. It wasn't like Wayne Gretzky was sitting 2 rows behind me, and I'd be like, all right, I'm good.
Yeah, let's start spreading misinformation. Yeah, Perloff left during the Ovechkin.
It's like Aaron Judge when he hit homer 59. Like, if you miss 59, it's not too bad.
Listen,
you miss 62, that's the one that's bad.
That dude's been my favorite Canadian hockey player for a long time.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a slip of the tongue from the president. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Just kind of got caught in a ramble. We've all been there.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, President talking to Nick Saban, forming a committee about college football. We've got that for you and other college football news. What situation in college football got so bad it's deemed awkward? I'll tell you, and what impact will it have this upcoming season? M&P.
Let's go, Knicks!
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Peter Blatty's got something to say about Tom Brady and a roast on that day. He's angry and he's speaking his mind, saying Brady was out of line. Should've known better, should've thought twice before agreeing to that roast. It ain't right, talking about his ex-wife crossing the line. Peter Blatty says someone needs to find that children shouldn't have to hear all of that. It's not fair to them, it's a matter of fact. Brady, you messed up, it's time to face the truth. Peter Blatty won't forgive you, that's the truth. Roasting Tom Brady, we took it too far. But Maggie don't care, she's a superstar. Said the kids need to learn to laugh at the pain, so we'll keep on joking, no need to explain. We may have crossed the line, but who's to say? Maggie's teaching her children to handle it her way, making light of the struggles, finding joy through the tears. With a sense of humor, they'll conquer their fears. Ha ha ha, let's laugh it off, put a smile on your face. Ha ha ha, bring on the jokes, no need to keep the pace. We'll turn the pain into laughter, let it all go. Ha ha ha, together we can grow. Roasting Tom Brady, we took it too far. But Maggie don't care, she's a superstar. Said the kids need to learn to laugh at the pain.
1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This portion of the show is sponsored by Hyundai. The Hyundai Getaway Sales event is going on now. Get deals so right, it almost feels wrong. But don't wait. Visit your local Hyundai dealer today. All right, Maggie, you were promising an update on the state of college football.
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about. I got to tell you, there's one reason that I think this is going to be not fun for everybody.
What's that?
Well, it's Nick Saban is going to be part of a commission that President Trump is putting together to study college football or college sports / fix college sports / contain NIL.
What's up with that?
We all know that Nick Saban as the bed and breakfast owner is just a nightmare. He is no fun, Nick. That commercial is on all the time, and it still makes me laugh to this day.
Yeah.
Where he times a shower. He says, only 5-minute showers. This is not a spa. That line will make me laugh till the end of time. I love those Nick Saban commercials.
Yeah, him sitting in the hot tub.
There's a barbecue outside. Don't use it.
Yeah.
No more than 2 flushes. I mean, it's pretty hilarious.
And then he's they're trying to enjoy breakfast, and he's out on the mower with his sunglasses. But, the no fun Nick, I wonder if he's going to suck some of the fun out of college sports.
Well, I forgot who wrote this yesterday, and I chuckled to myself. I said, just what college sports needs, another committee. You know, I just don't know. I get it. The coaches, this is not a political statement. No matter who is in the White House, the coaches have been appealing to Congress and to government to try to help them, make federal laws about NIL. Because right now it's state by state. So everyone has their own different situation. And I guess I get what they're talking about, but I worry that a committee or recommendations, or I don't even know if this is possible to have an executive order on something like this. I don't think it is, but that it's so heavily skewed by the coaches that the players themselves are not represented at all, because they're the ones who keep winning in all these court cases. They're the ones who stand to lose the most, obviously, and they're the ones who have been getting hosed for 100 years. So with the amateurism sham that we all knew was the big con in college sports. So I just worry that the players are not going to be represented in any of these committees, and it's going to be whatever Nick Saban wants and other coaches and administrators. And it's probably not going to get through the courts, whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be representative of what's really going on.
Well, it's funny because the NCAA was always in trouble. Both sides of the aisle hated the NCAA. It was pretty much the only thing that everybody agreed on was it's ridiculous that the NCAA has this monopoly. So it has cross-party lines supporting athletes before. I understand what people are saying. I think the cat's out of the bag with NIL. I just don't see the money going to these college players going backwards.
No, I don't either. And they still haven't officially made it official that the schools are going to start paying them, but we think that's only a matter of time.
Yeah, the revenue share, that seems totally inevitable. I'm curious. Everybody is saying we need guardrails on NIL, and people point to this $35 to $40 million payroll for the Texas Longhorns. Is that much? I've seen Texas on primetime TV with massive commercials. They must be bringing in 40 times. They bring in so much money.
Yeah.
I don't understand why that payroll is out of control.
Just because we're not used to it yet, and it's gotten so inflated so fast. We look at the NFL, it's like, wow, $250 million going up to $260, $270, $280. We're kind of used to this abstract numbers.
Right, but
for
isn't
college,
Texas,
it's like it was zero like 4 years ago.
College football is the second most popular sport in the country. Why should the Memphis Grizzlies have a $200 million payroll and the Texas Longhorns, everyone's like, they have $35 million for 100 players on their roster? It doesn't seem like that number is too crazy to me.
No, not to me either. And did you actually see there was another report that came out yesterday that ESPN said they are willing to pay the SEC for another conference game. So to go from 8 to 9. Which is what the coaches wanted. And that I get. Hold out for the TV networks. If you want to add another conference game to the schedule, get more money from the TV network.
Wasn't there some competitive concerns about that extra SEC game?
Well, totally. But it was all going to go away as long as the money was right. All those concerns were going to get mysteriously vaporized if they could get more money.
Yeah. I wonder, too, by the way, if Nick Saban and his committee is going to be wondering if Alabama's 13th in the poll, they get in no matter what. Like the SEC got
That's the executive order.
Yeah, the SEC got totally screwed in the 12-team playoff last year, which is very interesting. This is always it's so fluid, this entire sport, Maggie. Can you remember any sport in the history of our lifetime that the massive rule changes every 3 months, there's a whole new thing?
Yeah, I mean, baseball's been through a lot, but not nearly like this. One other just team-specific story that we wanted to get to, and of course, you're welcome to weigh in. Do you think that, combination of the president's committee and Nick Saban can fix this? I don't even know what that looks like. 888-710-4ISN. But some interesting quotes from Jim Knowles, who talked to Heather Dinich of ESPN. A couple things he said. So basically why he left Ohio State as the defensive coordinator. Now Ohio State has lost both coordinators, Chip Kelly and Jim Knowles, after the championship season. Knowles was upset because he wanted a contract extension done before the championship game. Apparently, Ohio State was not willing to play ball there, so he started looking around and called James Franklin at like 5 o'clock in the morning because coaches are crazy, and he offered him the job.
No.
Then he didn't go to the parade. So apparently he was told not to come by, I guess, Ryan Day or you know the powers that be at Ohio State. He said it got extremely awkward, which is sad considering I know it's money and I'm sure that all, feelings will get mended in time, but you just won a national title. This is not the time for the awkwardness. This is the time when there should be very little awkwardness. You're all celebrating.
Yeah, I mean, we argued about this on the pre-production call. Didn't Knowles owe them a little more time? I know he wanted a contract before the title game. He couldn't have waited a week and said, hey, are you sure you don't want to ante up? It felt like he got out of it pretty quickly.
One other commentary he had about fans in Columbus. He said when he heard it was a tough place to coach, he goes, I kind of blew it off. I'm like, I grew up in Philly. I've been around Eagles fans. We throw snowballs at Santa Claus. But yeah, when you're in it, it's really tough. It's real, he said. Anybody who works there, if they're being honest, will tell you it's real. It's almost like a badge of honor there. It's like, oh, yeah, well, this is Ohio State. This is what you have to expect. This is just the way it is. If you give up a touchdown, but you win 63-7, somebody somewhere is going to have something to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's not representing Philly well. You can't handle Columbus, Ohio. He's going to fit in really well at Penn State, though.
Being sarcastic?
Well, I mean, just like, excuses, softness. Like, that's James Franklin's MO in big games, right?
Perloff burning bridges.
I like that. I'm a Penn State fan.
Sure. Doesn't sound like it.
No, you're not.
No, I love Penn State. I just think James Franklin is not the guy.
888-710-4ISN. Okay, so much more to do, including an unexpected quarterback battle.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
7초, 테이텀 다가갑니다. 경기 끝!
야, 1차전에 이어서 2차전도 미칼 브리디스의 스틸 엔딩이에요.
와!
That's how it sounded in South Korea last night with the Knicks stealing a 2-0 advantage over the Celtics. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Everyone's excited pro worldwide except for in Boston where you have to be panicking. Back-to-back 20-point leads have been blown on your home floor. I know that the Celtics are a little banged up and bruised, but there aren't injuries that you can squarely say the reason we're losing is because this guy's not on the floor, because they won a title last year with Porzingis very much in doubt. So I think you can't really use that as an excuse. I think the Celtics have to be looking around and thinking, why are we losing ourselves, losing our identity, and just turning in bonehead play after bonehead play at the end of these games?
If Porzingis was playing normal minutes and would this be 2-0 Knicks?
I don't know.
No way. The Porzingis thing is huge. The Al Horford, I can't believe he's still out there trying to do this. It's painful for me to watch. But you're right. Injuries is not an excuse. I think it's mental with Jason Tatum right now. That's the biggest thing. Mm-hmm. He is in his head. We know the guy knows how to hit a 3-point shot. He just we've all been there in sports.
Yep.
Once you lose your confidence, it's gone.
Although I don't see him and think the yips. But listen, the numbers would back it up. He's shooting 28% from the field in the series, 1 for 12 from the field in the fourth quarter, 0 for 7 from 3 in the fourth quarter. But again, doesn't feel like the yips necessarily.
Well, how does he missing these wide open threes? And some last night were wide open. The first game, he was taking the hard ones.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. It doesn't seem like anything's funky with his delivery or anything like that. It's right in the head.
Yeah, I pointed my head for the radio. It's in his cabeza.
Mm-hmm.
He is choking is not a nice word, but he's thinking before he shoots. He's like, God, am I going to miss another one? He's trying to will it in and steer it in. You just can't do that as a shooter. You got to let it fly.
Well, then probably getting on the road might be the best thing for him. I know it's not easy to play at Madison Square Garden, whereas the next game is on Saturday. But in front of that Boston crowd, I think they're really nervous. And it's funny, you and I were chit-chatting about
Take me to the garden.
Like how much of a pass do you get after you win a title from the home fans and the home crowd? And listen, Tatum is a champion. He will always be a champion. You can never take that away. Jaylen Brown got the finals MVP when it was kind of supposed to be the Tatum kind of coming full circle and really stepping into his, expectations in Boston. Then he doesn't play in the Olympics. People really start to feel bad for him, I think. And now it's just the shot's not there. It's not for Brown either, by the way. 8 for 23 last night, 6 turnovers. He's battling a bit of a knee injury. You mentioned Horford 0 for 5 from 3, 2 for 11 last night. But everyone's looking at Tatum and saying, why aren't you saving us at the end of these games? He is the one who's wearing it.
Well, yes. Last year they had so much help from Derek White was a superstar last year. Drew Holiday was amazing. It's not all on Tatum, but perception-wise, it is all on Tatum. He's the guy who I think you look at, he wears it all.
Yep.
If they lose the series, obviously everyone will have to play under their capability, but I think It's going to become the Tatum. And I do think there's just always been this thing where people have wondered, is Tatum too soft? Is he not a killer like Kobe and to some extent LeBron? I think that's out there with him. It's always been out there.
Meanwhile, the whole team was responsible, though, for the collapse last night for the Celtics. They were shooting 25% on threes, obviously, but they had a 16-point lead with 9 minutes and 46 seconds left to go in the game, and they missed 15 of the next 16 field goal attempts. I mean, until, to be fair, Jason Tatum did a coast-to-coast dunk and broke that drought, but it is just, it's snowballing on itself. You can see it happening in real time where guys are, I don't know if they're rushing their shots as much as they were in game 1 where they went 15 for 60 from 3, but it was still really ugly last night, and the Knicks took advantage.
When it came to crunch time, they were relying on the lazy threes. I guess they ran out of steam. You got to pressure the inside of this defense. Also to the Knicks' credit, the minutes that Mitchell Robinson was out there, he was giving them a hard time defensively.
Yep.
So, I mean, what was the final score? 91-90? It's so funny that nobody can score in some of these games. We're seeing the Warriors are holding teams to 88 points a game. I don't know what's happening in this NBA. People are tight right now. I think they're not hitting their 3 points the way they should. The T-Wolves are just like the Celtics. They're missing everything.
Yeah, when Anthony Edwards hit more threes than anybody in the regular season in the NBA this year.
Can't hit the ocean right now.
No, he was terrible in game 1. We'll see what happens tonight in game 2. But and he got called out by his coach. So really curious to see how Anthony Edwards responds tonight. But yeah, you're right. Listen, the playoffs, though, always change. It always becomes a bit more of a half-court game. It becomes a little more grind out. And I think the Knicks are showing they're ready for these moments, and the Celtics are not. It's just it's devastating if you're a Celtics fan, because I know you got the championship of last year in your back pocket, but to blow 20-point leads like this, it's just ugly.
And we talk about, the minutes kind of double-edged sword, right? So for the Knicks, it's like you play all these minutes, are you going to get tired in the postseason? The other thing is, well, you play all these minutes in the regular season, you're in better physical shape. The Knicks look stronger down the stretch. Celtics, Tatum really doesn't load manage. He deserves a lot of credit for that, but they do watch minutes, and they don't play guys 40 minutes in what feels like meaningless games. And you look at the end of these games, and they don't look strong. They look like the weaker team, and you can see on those jump shots, it's like the arms are getting heavier with every Knicks basket as they try to hold off these comebacks. And I think that the conditioning for the Knicks, we got to give Tibbs some credit. He's going to get the blame for when they get hurt. You got to give him credit for them being able to not quit late in these games and push through the finish line.
Well, the other part that's been kind of fascinating is like Brunson's ankle is just no longer a thing. Like, it was a thing in the Pistons series. It was definitely a thing. Josh Hart's wrist was definitely a thing.
Still
or his hand.
A thing. He was grabbing his hand yesterday.
And it's just not a thing anymore with Brunson. And it's not like he had all this time to rest. They won 7 games with Detroit, and then was it 7? Yeah, 7, and then
6.
Excuse me, 6 games with Detroit, and then had to turn around and go to Boston.
You got a conspiracy theory going on there, Maggie?
I got nothing for you.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I've been racking my brain to try to get a second shooter here, but I don't have anybody.
I mean, Brunson, the ankle thing, it feels like he sprains his ankle every 10 games, like even in the regular season. So it could be a Steph Curry thing where he's kind of used to it, and maybe he's starting to actually get a little more healthier as the playoffs is going on. I don't know. Because there were games, I mean, he exited, I think, almost every Pistons game.
Yeah, right. Going back to the locker room.
Leaving the game, left crunch time during game 5. So he hasn't had any issues. I thought there might have been an issue when he didn't get a call, but he got fouled by White on a 3, and White encroached on his space landing, and I thought he was going to have an ankle problem there, but he got right back up and ended up still closing out the Celtics anyway.
Should have been a flagrant.
Asking you about Jason Tatum at 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476, and is he the biggest reason why the Celtics are in an 0-2 hole? I mean, he has been dreadful from in the fourth quarter. Do want to get to this. I don't know if you guys saw, it was a social media thing. It's a bit of a visual, but stay with me on this. So the Cleveland Browns, right, who have stepped now even more into the spotlight than they usually are because they drafted Dillion Gabriel in the 3rd round pro and then came back with Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round.
Woof, woof.
They posted a picture on social yesterday. I took a photo of it. It's Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco. Both like dropping back like
Joe Flacco
5-step, 7-step drop, to throw back for a pass. Football things are happening is the caption. But I don't think the Cleveland Browns social team realized what they were doing here, which is it's Pickett and Flacco in identical stances, both with two hands on the ball, dropping back as if they're about to throw a pass. It's like an action shot. Kenny Pickett looks like he's got a child's hands compared to Joe Flacco, who's got, like, the ball is being swallowed by Joe Flacco's gigantic hands. Did they not think this was going to be a thing? Also, Kenny Pickett's wearing 2 gloves.
2 gloves on, what do you mean? 2 gloves, one on each hand or on top of each other? Oh, okay.
Yeah, one on each hand. I don't know if they're doubled up.
Well, doubled up to make his hands look bigger. That's actually might be a strategy.
Well, then it's not working. It's not good. Anyway, they're getting roasted for it. But our bigger question mark really is not so much about Pickett and Flacco. Yeah. It's about Gabriel and Sanders. And the fact of the matter is the Browns can't stop telling you how much they love Dillion Gabriel. They took him in the 3rd round. Is it possible that he's going to box out Shedeur in Cleveland and Shedeur gets left with not a chair?
Well, it's possible. Insider Mary Kay Cabot, who we've had on recently, said the order is very clear. That they're making it's Pickett 1, Gabriel 2, then Flacco and Sanders are going to fight for 4 or for 3 and 4. So I think they seem very committed to Dillion Gabriel. Do
you think it's a smokescreen or do you think it's real? I mean, it seems real to me.
I mean, the truth is Dillion Gabriel is short, but he was incredibly productive. He's right there with Shedeur and even Cam Ward numbers-wise. Guy was amazing in college. He's just short. Now, the question is, do they care that he's short? So I think they're way higher. There was a great interview on our network with Nathan Zagora, who's a Browns team reporter. You know, he works for the Browns, and he said that Kevin Stefanski told him the height never shows up on tape. So they view Dillion Gabriel. They don't care about 5'11" at all. They seem to be really committed to this project, which strangely makes Shedeur Sanders an afterthought. And I think they really are focused on Gabriel. I know that sounds weird because the media is on Sanders. I think they really want to see what they have with Gabriel before they draft a quarterback next year.
Well, it makes it even more nonsensical that they would take Shedeur, right? And that's why everyone believes the owner stepped in to do it, to get the attention and to try to keep the Browns relevant or whatever it is. Because, you know, think about it. Shedeur seemed to blow the pre-draft process, right? For a lot of people, in a lot of people's eyes.
Yeah, reports said he blew the interviews. Absolutely.
I think you couldn't have had the more opposite effect than Dillion Gabriel. It sounds like, and who knows, but it sounds like from the media reports that are coming out that Dillion Gabriel was on like a Taylor Swift-like tour through the NFL, just impressing the hell out of everybody. And obviously it worked because I don't even think people believed he'd go 3rd round, maybe 4th, 5th, even though he was very productive at 3 different stops in college. But, you know, I think that he really had the intangibles. Well, it helped him.
He was a guy who was always talked about as a potential. You and I had a big debate. You thought he was a 1st round talent.
I thought Oregon might push him up.
Yeah, and then
Bo Nix.
He totally disappeared in the press before the draft. Nobody was talking about him. People were talking about Will Howard out of Ohio State. People were talking about everybody except Dillion Gabriel. But then all you have to do is look at his stats. I mean, the guy was incredible. He's like one of the all-time leaders. He challenged my guy Case Keenum, who ironically had a lot of success. Undersized guy with Kevin Stefanski. He feels like a Stefanski quarterback. What's the thing with a Stefanski quarterback? Non-athletic, smart, can read the defense. That's why Shedeur feels like that too.
Right.
So I feel like both these guys fit the mold. It just feels, based on the fact that they took him in the 3rd round, they're really into Dillion Gabriel right now, and they want to see what they have. I believe that. Am I being naive?
No, I'm almost right there along with you. I just don't know how Shedeur plays into this whole thing because he will be a factor at some point. I just don't know how, if it means he's on another team or if it means that he edges out Joe Flacco. I just can't imagine the Browns would have brought back Flacco to cut him.
I don't understand how Flacco is behind Kenny Pickett. I don't understand why Kenny Pickett.
I know why they do that.
Why?
Well, first of all, it doesn't. That's now. Pickett could lose the job. I think they're either trying to showcase Pickett a little in case someone gets hurt in training camp. They might want to trade for him. And 2, I think they want Flacco to be the closer, like how he came in for Deshaun Watson 2 seasons ago and led them to the playoffs. They probably believe, listen, Flacco doesn't need to be playing weeks 1 through 10.
Okay.
You know, this guy needs no warm up.
It feels like a chess, not checkers move, but I hear you. Yeah.
What did you think about the other draft story? And I know we're a little bit past it, but Quinn Ewers, the quarterback at Texas, his agent came out and said that once they thought Quinn was going to be like a 3rd or 4th rounder, And once it got past that, he ended up going in the 7th round because he's too famous to be a backup, and that scared teams off.
Yeah, I don't buy that. He was famous he had a brief flash when he had the mullet. Once he cut the mullet, it was all over for that. He looked like he was Joe Dirt, the quarterback. No, I don't. It doesn't make any sense. Quinn Ewers could totally be anonymous on a team.
I didn't buy this either. I think it's the agent trying to save his own bacon, that he clearly either got bad intel for his client or did not help his client, because Ewers, the injury stuff is definitely there. But, I mean, you're talking about college production. I mean, his team's in the Final Four the last 2 years. He held off Arch Manning.
But he has this big arm, right? He never showed it. He had one great pass in the whole playoffs. He just did not sling it around the field like we wanted him to.
I wasn't sure how hurt he always is.
Yeah, it could be. That's a great point. But I don't think he showed it even in the Final Four, that he just didn't look. If you eyeball him and you didn't know his name was Quinn Ewers, then you wouldn't think he was an NFL quarterback. So maybe there is something that he is famous. He's kind of got even more famous because Arch was behind him.
Yep, that's true. I know he was in that. Was he in that Netflix show that you loved?
No, I think that show was discontinued at that point. But he was a big YouTube star because he would go to these camps and just had a cannon. And for some reason, it just went away in college. That's my opinion.
Well, lower body injuries will do that to you. You can't get, throwing is all about your lower half.
I thought it was in his head. It just felt like he was never comfortable.
Can I ask you guys a question on this? Because I was thinking about this yesterday. Is it smart, whether this is true or not, is it smart for teams to pass on better talents because they think the backup is too famous? Because I think about Perloff's Eagles, and they took Jalen Hurts, not worried about him being too lit to be a backup, and now they have a Super Bowl ring. It seems kind of counterproductive to be like, well, we think he's good, but like if he plays or there's an issue, then we're gonna have controversy. We don't want to deal with that. I think this is dumb. Like if teams are really doing this, then this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. The fact that you're going to pass up on better talents because you're worried about what the attention the backup's going to get. You got to cross that bridge when you get there, right?
I think so. I also think the Eagles were probably on their way to saying goodbye to Carson Wentz. So I think it was insurance policy for them at the time, so it was really smart. And if I were the Miami Dolphins, I thought I would be looking way more seriously at a quarterback this year. I know they signed Zach Wilson to be their backup. I thought they should have a much more stable plan B if you're actually trying to contend for Miami.
Well, forget Quinn Ewers for a second, but Shedeur Sanders is really what we're talking about here.
Right.
Jalen Hurts had none of that going on. There was no buzz around Jalen Hurts.
He was a Heisman runner-up, though.
There was zero of the Shedeur Sanders energy, none of that.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody was like, we were not watching Jalen Hurts. There weren't 1,000 think pieces. The draft ratings didn't go up 100% because Jalen Hurts fell to day 2. And when the Eagles picked him, everyone's like, okay, interesting. There was no, oh my God, the Eagles finally ended Jalen Hurts' slide. There was none of that.
No, it's very different energy. But to EJ's point, like that bet paid off for them big time.
But that was not the issue. There was no worries about Jalen Hurts.
Right. He could be more anonymous.
No national press went to that Eagles training camp because Jalen Hurts was there.
But there was more pressure on Wentz to then get it done or else he was going to be out, right? So you are bringing that kind of attention, that kind of pressure.
No, that's different, though. We're talking about is the Tim Tebow, Colin Kaepernick, Shedeur Sanders effect, where after a practice, everyone in the national media is storming to those locker rooms. That's what we're talking about, right? Not just having a good player. Don't you think there's a distinction there? I mean, Tebow, for example, was the ultimate guy. Nobody wanted him as a backup. He's like, why would you want your biggest star to be a third-string quarterback?
Yeah, I guess my question, you would be right if the situation is where they don't think the player is that talented.
Right.
I think with Tebow and some of these other guys, they didn't think the player was that talented. But if you're in a situation where you do think the guy is talented and you're still passing on him.
Because he's got a lot of notoriety.
Yeah, he's got a lot of attention. That was more what I was talking about. You don't think that's happening, though.
But you do think Shedeur is that talented?
I think the conversation is if he fell because of the attention, that suggests that he's more talented than his draft position, which means you would be picking the fame and the notoriety as an issue rather than the talent.
Yeah, with Shedeur, I don't think he was a 5th round talent. No, I don't think anyone does. He was way higher than that as a talent.
Well, the funny thing is we did learn this thing, and it's kind of come out that if you fall out of the 1st round as a quarterback, the NFL doesn't want you in the 2nd round. They always let you fall to the 3rd round because basically they don't view you as a starter if you get out of the 1st round. That's generally how it is, right? And if you're a 2nd round cornerback, you're definitely a starter. If you're a 2nd round linebacker, you're a star. If you're a 2nd round quarterback, you're a backup. I really think, look at the history. Look at the number of of second round. That doesn't mean starter. First round means starter, everything else. So I think all these backups get that kind of attention. I don't know. I don't think teams are going to regret passing Shedeur. I don't know what it is.
We'll see. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Coming up next, we will head to Dallas to check in, take the temperature of the Dallas Cowboy faithful after the big trade for George Pickens. Don't move. It's M&P.
Joe Flacco.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Through the tears, with a sense of humor, they'll conquer their fear. Pine Needles wakes up at dawn, coffee brewing, screen turned on. He's got a favorite show to see, the Maggie and Perloff Symphony. Oh, Pine Needles are tuned in tight to Infinity Sports Radio every night. Maggie and Perloff, your daily delight. In their words, you find your life. From highlights to the breaking news, every take you can't refuse. In the chat, he's always there with comments, questions, wisdom to share. Oh, Pine Needles, you're tuned in tight to Infinity Sports Radio every night. Maggie and Perloff, your daily delight. In their words, you find your life. When the games get tough and the stakes are high, Pine Needles knows where to rely on the voices that break it down. Maggie and Perloff never let him down. He's got a playlist all saved up, from epic wins to the close-up, loyal viewer through and through. Pine Needles, this song's for you. Oh, Pine Needles, you're tuned in tight to Infinity Sports Radio every night. Maggie and Perloff, your daily delight. In their words, you find your life. So here's to the fan, always engaged with every comment, every page. Pine Needles, you're the heart and soul of the Maggie and Thomas. Pine Needles wakes up at dawn, coffee brewing, screen turned on. He's got a favorite show to see, the Maggie and Perloff Symphony. Oh, Pine Needles are tuned in tight to Infinity Sports Radio every night. Maggie and Perloff, your daily delight. In their words, you find your life. Living life in 20-second views, scrolling through, he's got no time to lose. Maggie and Perloff, daily's keeping score, YouTube's his love. He's begging for more, double tap, clicking on that.
Parboil's got a secret, it's tucked away. Hidden cameras in his place, recording all day. When his date walks in, they don't know the deal. They're part of his own reality reel. Oh, Pat's got a show and no one's aware. Every room's wired, but he's acting all fair. Dillion wine, a romantic pursuit, but the cameras are rolling, ready to shoot. She thinks it's just a nice little night, but Pat's setting angles, getting the light. Sit on the couch, he says with a grin. Unbeknownst to her, the cameras begin. Oh, Pat's got a show and no one's aware. Every room's wired, but he's acting all fair. Dillion wine, a romantic pursuit, but the cameras are rolling, ready to shoot. She thinks it's just a nice
30 seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. I'm having so much fun today because I get to unveil all these different things to Maggie.
Yeah.
She missed the headline earlier this week that a lot of people saw. Former Bush housing official claims government has spent $21 trillion building an underground doomsday base. The pictures are gorgeous. It's a little underground city. I want to live there now.
Wait. Hold on one second.
Yeah.
Someone confirmed that they've been doing this. First of all, where is it? Secondly, what?
So Catherine Austin-Fitts, who was the Assistant Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, high-up job, told Tucker Carlson that they are building this gigantic bunker. She couldn't tell us where it was.
What?
That sounds like my girlfriend in Canada.
No,
You know?
this is definitely true.
I don't know.
This is 100% true. There's no way.
Okay, but who gets to get in then? Is it like a lottery? How are you going to select who gets to go to the doomsday bunker if the worst case scenario happens?
You don't think that process is well underway, Maggie? I thought you were a conspiracy theorist.
But who gets is it famous people, The Rock and, like Scarlett Johansson, or is it a mix? Is it just politicians who get in?
I got to be honest.
Bring it, jabronis.
I have not been tabbed for this secret city. I have
you wouldn't
no
be able
idea.
to tell us anyway. You probably got
also,
to keep it totally to the vest.
She alleged several of these bases are located beneath oceans, not just underground. And this is actually a real politician person. She had a major job in the Bush administration.
You sick freak.
Wait a
This
minute.
is not-
Is she
this
like
is-
a whistleblower, though? Is she trying to say we should stop this? It's a waste of money. Is she trying to tell people, hey, you should try to get in on this? Like, what's the motivation? Just to spill the secrets? Write a book.
She's in her 70s. I guess she doesn't care anymore.
Oh, she's coming clean.
Yeah, I mean, coming clean. Now, there's no doubt that there are secret nuclear facilities to protect, like, the president underground
Okay,
somewhere
well, the
in Hidden Place.
president, I get. I
And
understand
other
that.
top government officials.
Okay,
Start with the government.
So government people, of hallelujah. No, I don't want anyone to get hurt. I'm just saying, like, politicians aren't exactly having a moment right now. Both sides.
Well, I mean, listen, there's also these rich people who are preppers. That's a huge, huge
I
trend.
know you're a wannabe prepper.
I don't have the money to prep, though. I mean, all these tech billionaires have these crazy plans. There's stuff going on, Maggie, for real, that you have no idea about.
Clearly, Gordon Damer is here. Gordon, you get an invite? Got a golden ticket?
Not yet.
To the
but it's
doomsday.
It's only, 9:26.
Are you a
It's
prepper,
possible.
Gordon?
No, I'm not. I barely prep for the reports that I do.
Yeah. You're like me going down in the first wave?
Yeah, why would I want to survive that? Everybody go out at once. Absolutely.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I enjoy other people's pain. Right. And I would enjoy their pain as I was also
dust.
Dust, absolutely.
That's so
I
funny.
don't know that that's true.
Yeah, I consider myself the least likely to survive an apocalypse here. I think Gordon's with me. I think he's going out fast. He doesn't seem even
I'm
interested.
barely hanging on now.
Yeah, like you're not a hunter-gatherer, are you?
No, not at all.
Gordon and zombies, I don't really see
You know
it.
what it is? Your glasses are too nice. You can't get those in a
You're wearing a
post-apocalypse
cardigan.
world. Yeah.
It's both hot and cold in this room all at once. So.
I know. No. You're complaining about the temperature. Yeah. I like this guy. He's him and I
Gordon's the
can
best.
ride the 5 minutes of apocalypse together.
Absolutely. Well, HBO has that Celtics documentary that's airing right now.
Yeah. Right.
We might have to add another chapter after the last few days. Celtics blow another 20-point lead. Knicks steal game 2 in Boston, 91-90. Once again, Knicks own the fourth quarter. Celtics could not buy a bucket down the stretch. Knicks a 21-2 run in the fourth, outscored Boston 30-17 in the final quarter. Jalen Brunson, a couple of free throws that put the Knicks up. Then, of course, the defense shut down Jason Tatum in the final seconds. Mikal Bridges knocking the ball away, and Karl Anthony Towns loved it.
We got the clutch player of the year in the NBA, and we possibly got one of the most clutchest defenders in the NBA as well. So it's only right that, for all the talk people have done about Mikal, it's when the lights were the brightest that he gets to show his worth.
And Jason Tatum did not speak after the game. His availability was canceled because someone pulled the fire alarm.
Smart.
No word if it was Jason Tatum that pulled the fire alarm. That might have been
I'm
a
on
good
the
idea.
case.
Honestly, he's got friends in high places. He
Yes.
probably gets into the doomsday prepper underground paradise. Although if he keeps missing these threes,
Listen,
not.
he's
gonna be at the
better
gate.
have a doomsday plan for if they lose Game 4.
I know. The crowd in Boston's not going to be nice to him.
Keep missing, JT. Keep missing.
The other game, that one basically was over right after it began.
Back to Duck, slashing left in the lane, whips it inside to Shea, who dunks! He escaped Watson and thundered down a big right to left maneuver of the body for the thrust to the cup. He's got 30 again, his fourth straight 30-point game in the playoffs.
Yeah, that the call on the Thunder Radio Network. OKC blew out the Nuggets 149-106. Thunder had 87 points at halftime. SGA finished with 34, and it is an NBA playoff record plus 51 in the game. So not a bad night for him. Stanley Cup playoffs, the Moose was loose.
In front, the Stars shoot and score. Rantanen from the right wing circle. Can you believe it? He has done it again.
Yeah, that the call on the Stars Radio Network. Dallas takes game 1 3-2 over the Jets. Rantanen now first player in almost 40 years to score hat tricks in back-to-back playoff games. He's also scored or assisted on their last 12 goals. I don't know much about hockey, but that seems good.
What you want. Fair assessment.
It's better than not scoring or assisting.
Right, exactly.
Hey, guys, can I just make one thing very clear? Gordon maybe is not here for what I've deemed 2025 is the Drought Breakers.
Mm-hmm.
This is the year of the Drought Breaker that got somehow twisted into Slump Buster, which is a totally different thing. But we're talking about Drought Busters and Drought Breakers. And the fact that the Maple Leafs are up 2-0, Knicks are up 2-0, guys, still alive. The year of the Drought Buster.
There you go.
We saw Rory McIlroy, University of Florida. Even UConn women hadn't won a title in a decade.
Yeah, it's amazing that Florida finally got over that hump.
It's very
well. No one was talking
very
about
long
it.
Drought. And then the other game, Mitch Marner, the game winner midway through the third. Maple Leafs take game 2 against the Panthers 4-3. So Toronto up 2-0, as Maggie mentioned.
I know. This could be the Drought Buster, Pearl. Meanwhile, thank you, Gordon. Great job as always.
Now, if Florida football wins, that is a Drought Buster.
There's still time. DJ Lagway. Let's head out to Dallas, shall we? And let's welcome in one of our absolute favorites, Matt Mosley, Doomsday Podcast. And Matt, Dallas now making news yesterday. Jerry making good on at least one of his substantive trade talks. What's been the reaction at Big D?
Well, Maggie, good to hear from you guys. There's a lot of dancing in the streets around Dallas. There's excitement over George Pickens arriving. When last seen, he was fighting with the Cowboys and not being very productive in a game. And it's funny how your perspective changes. And everybody was just like, who is this guy? And now it's like, oh, he's one of us. He's great. This is a tremendous trade. I just think everybody was excited to see Jerry do something because, man, I've attended these training camps when they go into it with basically no one at receiver. And, I mean, they have CeeDee Lamb, but the group they were going to put with him was pretty pedestrian. So to have someone who's a frontline type receiver, I think that's great. And by the way, the Stars actually won a first, a game one, which they never do. This is obviously a good team, and they're amazing finishing, and they're okay in game sevens. Not good in game ones, and yet they beat Winnipeg last night. So lots of excitement over that.
We'll conveniently leave the Mavericks out of this conversation.
Yeah, I was about to say, does Pickens trade make up for the Luka Doncic trade, Matt?
No, no. We're still smarting from that. So it's very, very upsetting. But there's nothing. I mean, and every time you look up, it's like, oh, okay, Luka. Right now, Luka's out of the playoffs, but then Jalen Brunson is still, obviously has become a superstar. So that's another extreme sore spot with Mavs fans is the way they handled the Brunson exit. So anyway, that's a bad one too.
That one stinks.
All right, Matt, looking at what could go wrong with the George Pickens trade, because as you pointed out, they clearly need another receiver. Can the locker room withstand George Pickens if some of what allegedly took place in Pittsburgh happens in Dallas?
I like that you immediately went negative. What can go wrong?
Wow.
What's the worst case scenario here?
We got 30 years of evidence.
Yeah, exactly. I think that all of that could be, he's an interesting guy in that I don't think for once all the stuff that sort of came out of there, and I remember Tomlin taking a couple of shots even recently, and then even during the season, and I think there were some immaturity issues for sure, but it was like, it didn't seem like it was the usual disgruntled, I'm going to hold out, I don't like my contract, all that kind of stuff. It was more like on the field, the guy kept getting in fights. We've seen it happen against the Cowboys, and so it's probably good for both teams. I think the Steelers are probably relieved to see him go to a certain extent, and the Cowboys desperately need him. So it's I think it's like the perfect, unless Jerry messes it up, which is completely, on the table. He doesn't come in here with a brand new contract. Jerry, they got to get Micah Parsons done. They got others coming up, other deals they gotta try to get done. In a sense, it's a 1 year prove it kind of contract year, and then he'll get either a big deal here or elsewhere. So I see a lot of upside. I don't see a whole lot of downside. Like, they were horrible last season. I mean, so it's not like it can get that much worse. I just don't see. I'm always one to try to find the negative as well, but I don't see a lot of negative here. I think he's going to come in, and I mean, it would be completely detrimental to his career and his future for him to come in here and have a bad attitude and have a bad season. I'm not saying it can't happen, but I think he's kind of in. The Cowboys have him in a great situation here, and they just desperately needed this. Like, this offense had no juice. It was like CeeDee Lamb, and it was going to be Tolbert. And again, I know exactly their playbook on this stuff. They would have tried to force feed us Jonathan Mingo and Ryan Flournoy, and just get everybody taught. I mean, these guys are a lot better than people think. Somebody named Brooks, Jalen Brooks, just lots of Jalens. And this guy can just flat out, go. And he does exactly what Dak likes to do, like throw go routes and these deep fades. And he's great with his body adjustment. So I think the Cowboys are, in pretty good shape here.
Matt Mosley is joining us. Doomsday Podcast has been covering the Cowboys, also a columnist, and does a fantastic job. And we always think of him when these big Cowboy stories break. And this was a big one. George Pickens going from Pittsburgh to Dallas. Want to get your thoughts on something else, Matt. And it was John Machota, who covers the team, as you know, for The Athletic. So he's right there with you in the locker room, at all the media avails and stuff like that. He was on Scoop City. We're going to play this clip for you and for the audience. He said he thinks that Jerry Jones didn't do more last offseason because there was a bitterness towards Mike McCarthy. Listen to this.
Last offseason, I felt like, as much as he liked Mike McCarthy, I felt like that with Jerry somewhere, and he'll probably never admit this, I thought that there was probably a little bit of anger and holdover from the way that they lost to Green Bay, and that he was in a position where he was like, I'm not going to do much on this roster. If Mike's going to be the guy and get a contract extension, he's going to have to prove it with what we got here, and then we'll go into next offseason.
Okay, Matt, you hear that Jerry may have self-sabotaged the team because he was still ticked off at how that Packers playoff game went down. You hear that and think what?
Oh, it's like you could say almost anything about Jerry, and I'd go, well, maybe there's, and John's a good friend of mine and comes on with me a lot. So I think it's hard for me to believe. It's like, I don't even know if Jerry sometimes is competent enough to put that kind of plan together. I'm going to see what I can do here and hold off on doing anything and really put this thing on Mike. I mean, they spent half that offseason trying to, talk about how great a coach Mike was and rehab his image to a certain extent, and talk about, they would constantly remind us of the one Super Bowl he had with Green Bay. So I don't know. It's a sort of an interesting theory, but I think it was really about Jerry. It was like he committed to this plan, which was we're all in. He had a slogan. He was real proud of it. And he also had this new thing he came up with. It's like Jerry discovered basketball. He said, we're hanging around the rim. Mm-hmm. We're going to be hanging around the rim, which is it's two metaphors like mixed up. People hang on the rim. There's a literal sense in basketball, but they're not like hanging around the rim. It's like I don't know. I think he mixed a golf and basketball thing up at the same time. So he's all messed up. So again, to agree with a strategy like that, or that Jerry was getting back at Mike McCarthy, means that you think he's lucid and thinks through these things. And I don't, I don't always think that. And I like Larry. I mean, I like Jerry a lot, but I honestly, that it's a strange thing to think about. But the McCarthy thing is interesting because we can say all that, but he wanted McCarthy back here. He just wanted to publicly offer the fans something by sticking him with a bad deal. And so he tried to get him on a short-term deal to go, because he didn't want to have to move on. Maybe he was trying to get back at him, but he also tried to bring him back. And McCarthy, for once, nobody ever, Jason Garrett never stood up to him. Wade Phillips never stood up to him. McCarthy, for once, in that room during that negotiation, said, "No, enough's enough. Enough's enough. I'll go do something new." And McCarthy at the time had some other potential, he had some other possibilities to coach, and that didn't end up coming to fruition. But that's how that thing ended. And now McCarthy, if he wants to, maybe he could go find some middling ACC program to coach for him.
Matt, we're coming up against a break. Real quick, at 82, is Jerry Jones still the GM of this team?
Is he still?
Did he pick Tyler Booker? Like, who's running this? Is he?
Yeah,
he's
still the final say. He's still the final say.
Yeah.
And I know you're trying to shove him out of there, but he's the man. He's still. And listen, when things go well, there is a group here that tries to jump in and go, Steven deserves credit. Steven, y'all need to give Steven more credit and all that. Well, Steven has his own issues. He may be better than Jerry in some areas, but anyway, Jerry is still the main guy, and he still has final say on everything.
Got it.
Matt, can't tell you how much we appreciate it. Enjoy this, the glow around the George Pickens trade. Everything looks sunny and rosy now, and
he's got hockey. And you got hockey,
and
dude.
you got hockey, so everything's good.
This is Clutch City now. Whoever had that, we've taken it. And by the way, I've got a new syndicated show, guys.
Oh, great.
The E Radio Network, and I'm on expanding in states as we speak, but Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas, over all these like 35 stations across those states. So the Mosley show can be heard. So I just wanted to mention that to you guys.
Fantastic. We can't wait to tune in. Yeah. Thank you so much, and enjoy George Pickens' introductory press conference, which I'm sure is coming any minute today, probably, right?
Man, I'm just camped out here right now waiting.
We can feel the excitement. Matt, you're the best. Matt
Thanks,
Mosley now got a new show, which is fantastic, and we love him on the Doomsday Pod.
Yeah, no, it's so funny. He's been there a long time, and he's seen how Jerry operates. The skepticism of
healthy.
His Jerry's lucidity was, Matt knows the deal there. It makes you wonder. Again, I came away from that saying, yes, on paper Pickens looks great, but overall, is the team headed in the right direction? I'm not sure.
888-710-4ISN. Lots more to do on the Maggie and Perloff show, including, a reason to get excited. People think we're negative on this show. We've got some positivity for you next.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Realize we missed a major holiday. Andrew's birthday came and went. Oh no, we're a couple months late. Don't you know? Happy birthday, Perloff. Happy birthday to you. We're just a little late, but our wishes are true. We hope your day was awesome, even though it's past. We're celebrating now, and that's gonna last. I'm feeling guilty, feeling blue. Forgot my own bro's birthday, what am I to do? But Maggie reminded me, and now we're on the case. Better late than never, with a big smile on our face. We're not the only ones who are MIA. Peter Pilati's always out, it's just his way. He's always working from home, or so he claims. But we're starting to think he's just playing video games. Yeah, Pete, if you're listening, we're on to you. We're celebrating Andrew's birthday, and we wish you were here too. Happy birthday, Perloff. Happy birthday to you. We're just a little late, but our wishes are true. We hope your day was awesome, even though it's past. We're celebrating now, and that's gonna last. We'll get after you with cake and with cheer. A belated birthday party that's crystal clear. We'll sing and we'll dance and have a blast. Cause when it comes to birthdays, we're never a gas. Happy birthday, Perloff. Happy birthday to you. We're just a little late, but our wishes are true. We hope your day was awesome, even though it's past. We're celebrating now, and that's gonna last. We'll make it up to you with cake and with cheer. A belated birthday party that's crystal clear. We'll sing and we'll dance and have a blast. Cause when it comes to birthdays, we never gas. Happy birthday, Perloff. Happy birthday to you. Well, we're just a little late, but our wishes are true. We hope your day was awesome, even though it's past.
1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
And hit the music.
EJ and Manny on Cloud 9 today. Kaplan, meanwhile, feeling terribly.
Oh, I forgot about Cap Celtics.
I went to go see Kaplan to go say hello in the back, and to my chagrin, he's not here.
Well, working from home. Still does a phenomenal job right there in the chat. Both chats. YouTube, Twitch. We're on Sirius XM channel 375 if you haven't found our new station. which we love. Nice and roomy up there, 375.
Cap doesn't talk a lot of trash when they win, though.
Oh, that's not true.
Oh, really?
Oh, in the chat, he
in
is
the chat.
ruthless.
Oh, yeah.
But in person, he doesn't. Does he?
No, he's a lot more low-key. But
I mean, who doesn't like to hide behind a screen? You know what I mean?
There's digital Cap, and then there's in-person Cap. Digital Cap is
savage.
Savage. Will talk the most ish. Will
Cap be
absolutely
capping in person.
Make you look crazy on a graphic.
I was going to say, Photoshop Cap is the most diabolical.
Yes.
Like, nobody is spared. I was saying a couple of things we want to get to before the end of the show, and the Celtics are in an 0-2 hole. Now, they're the reigning champs, so you got that going for you. But this would be tough if they go out to the New York Knicks, who most people thought they were going to handle pretty easily in the second round of the playoffs. But, Pearl, two things.
Let's go, Knicks!
One, that was Manny. We love the fact that it's spring around here. And when you live in the Northeast, you feel like you literally are waiting for months and months and months, and you feel like you really earn spring. Now, it's been super rainy, but you, unfortunately, are dealing with the downside of spring.
So went outside. We have a little porch and to do our production call last night. And I noticed on the ground there was one ant, a second ant, a third ant, walked 2 more feet, hundreds of ants on our deck.
Oh, man.
And I got an urgent text this morning. Now there are ants in the kitchen. So we have a full-on ant invasion.
Ah, jeez.
That sucks.
It's the worst.
How do ants get up? Don't you live in a palatial penthouse? How do they get all the way up there?
Because our neighbor has all these plants on her deck. And so this happens every spring. I know exactly what poison to use.
But you have to look out for Hermes, that your tortoise, that he doesn't take some of the poison in.
Big issue because he can't go. So we have a Hermes tortoise. They're a desert animal. He can't go outside unless it's above 75 degrees. So he hasn't been out at all yet. Maybe once or twice. He probably would sniff around that poison if we let him.
Ants are the worst. I mean, they're easy to get.
Mice are the worst.
Mice are the worst because they're just disgusting.
I think for insects, ants besides cockroaches.
No, again,
because there's just so many ants.
Wait, is there anyone here who would rather have mice than cockroaches? Some people hate cockroaches.
100 ants versus 1 cockroach. Who wins?
It's the internet question that's sweeping the
How
world.
about those water bugs? Like the
water bugs we used to, when I lived in New York City, we used to have. No, obviously, I take ants. I take ants over cockroaches.
Yeah.
Because ants, I feel like you actually can get rid of. But if you're saying you got hundreds and hundreds, I mean, if they're just coming for you guys.
No, it's no problem. They'll be gone in 2 days. I have no fear. I've conquered them before. My biggest fear, I hate rodents. I hate mice. I hate
They carry
rats.
diseases. That's why they're disgusting.
It's not that they're indestructible. Have you ever? I mean, rats can get in and out of any spit. Everything about them is gross. And I know a lot of people think, okay, they're outside, they're not going to bother me. But what if a rat got in your house?
I don't know.
You guys are with me. You're New Yorkers.
I've never had a rat, thank goodness. Mice, yes, and it's terrible.
That doesn't have to be New York, by the way. I went to college in Washington, D.C.
Oh,
I don't think there are rats there.
Chicago,
That's a swamp.
Chicago is technically the rat capital, I think.
No, New York is.
No, I think they've done studies Chicago has the most.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
We used to do this story every year when I worked at Spectrum News New York One, a local New York station. Everyone always thinks New York has the most, but New York's usually second, I think.
We just have the most famous when that rat took that slice of pizza down the steps.
Delicious rat.
Delicious slice of pizza.
Became the Staten Island Yankees mascot for a little bit.
Well,
that's not good.
People love the fact that there's a peregrine.
They sent us a hat.
Yeah. There are peregrine falcons that circle our neighborhood.
To try for the rats.
Yeah, to keep the rats out because we had such a massive problem. You see the birds all over. It's really fun to watch them kill things.
That was Eric Adams' plan, right? To attack the rats?
Yes, it was. Not going well.
No, there was a rat. There was a rat czar. It's this woman. She was like a huge celebrity in the city. There was
Imagine going on a blind date with her. Manny's like, "Hi, I'm Manny.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Trish. I'm the rat czar.
So
you may recognize some of my finest work, the A Train."
According to Orkin data from last year, Chicago was number 1.
Wow.
Los Angeles number 2, New York number 3, San Francisco 4, and Washington D.C. 5.
Is that rats per capita or rats overall?
Rats per living room.
Stand by on that data. I'm not sure.
Rats per person.
These rats per square inch. It's got to be New York because we're so compact.
Square inch.
Square
New York
foot?
is huge.
Yeah, but in L.A., there's no way there's more rats per person. I got to check this down.
Perloff's going to go do his own research by stepping outside. Also, congratulations to Utah. You have now named your team the Utah Mammoth.
Yeah, hockey.
Thought they could have just kept a Utah Hockey Club. I kind of like that, but
The THC.
What was the one we loved last
hockey
year?
club?
They had
the
the
Yeti.
Yetis. Yeah, what happened to that?
Yeti wouldn't give up a copyright.
No.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a legal
Cup?
thing. Yeah.
The cups, the coolers.
They already have the Stanley Cup. That's a very popular.
Brought to you by
Yeah,
Yeti.
they already had rights to that.
Thank you, EJ. Thank you, Manny. Gordon Damer, Andrew Kaplan, Guido's Coffee Drinkers. See you tomorrow.